find the terminal.
Welcome. Your compatibility really impressive.
Billy de Montbel. Call sign NYXE, assault operator. Trained by Havoc, NYXE is a seasoned mercenary with rich experience. As a man of few words who prefers to operate independently, his collaboration with GTI is a product of necessity rather than a choice. Specializing in information disruption with proficiency in various combat techniques, he excels in stealth operations. Like a cold dagger, he exposes vulnerabilities in enemy defenses to strike at their throats. NYXE's tactical equipment, Silent Assault, consists of an information jammer and sonic jammer. When activated, the disruptors emit sonic interference waves, minimizing NYXE's sound propagation and the alert range of enemies. While this interference is in effect, enemy recon tools are unable to pinpoint NYXE's exact location.
Allied forces are engaging at objective level.
Man's fear of darkness is imprinted in our genes. In the absence of light, we become prey, hunted by nameless dangers and unknown fears.
Where do you think Havoc's war went?
Dead, probably.
Then who's paying their soldiers? Who's there?
We try to seek solace by the faint light of fire.
Where is that noise from?
But a deal was made with the dark. And darkness became a weapon. There's no waiting for the protection of dawn. A winner must be crowned tonight.
Hostiles detected.
Late. Skynet has been destroyed.
No. Skynet's been upgraded.
Sawyer, what's going on?
Alexei! Come on, anyone, do you copy?
Nox, confirm your position. The deal is clear. I'll help you remove your relink and escape Havoc. But first, you infiltrate the Skynet terminal and restore our comms. Respond immediately.
I'm in position.
find the terminal. Or I will.
Welcome home, Nox. Your abilities to read has been astonishing. You are truly one of a kind. Don't resist. Embrace.
Get out of my head!
Find him! Go!
Let's spread a little panic.
We've got you surrounded! Enemy over here!
What's your status? Have you found the terminal?
We've been set up. The server room's empty.
I was right. You're still the best. I knew you'd come back. But here's the truth. It's not Havoc that needs you. It's you that needs Havoc. We are the future.
Well, good afternoon or good evening, and welcome back to the Delta Force Global League. This is Season 1, and it is the North American Warfare Finals. I'm going to be your host again. My name is Goj, and I gotta say, if you were here this morning, you definitely witnessed a banger, because we had our European Warfare Finals not too terribly long ago. But this time, it is time for North America, and I am pumped to be back with you all. I don't know where you are in the world, but I am glad you are here. Before we jump into things, I've got to give you the normal reminder that if you haven't downloaded Delta Force yet, what the heck you doing? All right, go get involved on Delta Force right now. It's free to play. They're committed to no pay to win, and it's a dang good time. Right down below, you're going to see the link. You can get the official launcher, but also go get it on the Epic Game Store, and of course, over there on Steam. But also, we have launched on mobile. It is official, and cross progression is active. So go get it on the iOS App Store or Android Google Play Store. A great chance to play mobile on the go. Now, as we hop into esports and we hop into North America, I gotta bring back my amazing co-host, amazing co-caster, and a Delta Force aficionado, Tiff. It is great to have you back in the booth yet again for another broadcast here with Delta Force.
Look, it was so much fun over in Europe. I'm ready to see what North America has, so I couldn't be more excited to be locking it in. I do want to see some back and forth that we go through our 4 maps that we're going to be witnessing today, and I hope we get that.
Yeah, I think we will. It's been really fun to watch our players in the Discord, and I think the fun part about this competition is that some of these squads don't know each other, but they do have to team up together. So some fun notes to talk about. Let's talk about what the format is so you're fully aware of what's about to happen, because it's going to be chaos. It's warfare, but it has been broken down quite beautifully on this graphic. First and foremost, we had all of our teams qualify for this event. Yes, it's esport, therefore no invitations, all qualifications. I think I'm rhyming on main, but Team Alpha is going to be your week 1 qualified players. Those are going to be the players that qualified through the week 1 of online qualifiers to get to this stage. That is 5 squads of 4 all coming together for Team Alpha. They all have to play together against the team, same amount that qualified for week 2. That's going to be Team Bravo, right? So you've got a total of 5 teams of 4 on each side. That is 20v20 for some amazing warfare action. Now, the win condition here is just winning the game. That's it. It's very, very simple. That's our first win condition. Of course, if the teams tie throughout their record on the day, then we'll get in some fun tiebreakers that you can see down below. Today, we will be starting on trench lines. It's going to be the daytime version of trench lines. And both teams will have a chance to attack and defend on trench lines, and then we will head to Cracked, the OG map, to see them attack and defend on that map. So we're going to play a total of 4 maps all the way through, but 2 total maps that you'll see of trench lines and Cracked. interact, if that makes sense. And then finally, we've got some side objectives there down in the bottom right-hand corner. Yes, you're playing for wins, but also you are playing for individual rewards with Top Slayer and Top Medic, and squad rewards here with our MVP squad, which is a chance to earn some extra cash for you, your team, and everybody in between. And let's take a look at the prizing because it's pretty dramatic. We've got a $4,000 prize pool for the winning side, all split between each of the different players. The most valuable squad here, MVP squad, is going to be $500 for that team of 4, split evenly between those players. And then our individual rewards, $300 for the player with the most kills and $300 for the player with the most rescues. That's going to be your top medic reward and top slayer. Now, Tiff, now that we've broken it all down and how it's going to work today, let's talk about the teams. Talk to me about what you're seeing, top 5 on top, and then our team Bravo is going to be our week 2 qualified teams there down at the bottom.
Yeah, there's a lot of names that you would have recognized if you would have witnessed some of the showdowns that we had earlier this week, especially when you turn towards Team Alpha. NYXE, WAG, Rasta, Sirant, Snarf, like they came together and were throwing down in that. So they're going to be from the week 1 teams. This is where things get a little bit interesting though, because if you look over towards the InmortalS roster, I was checking in some with Neo Select, and a lot of them spend so much time building that chemistry together, but not only on that individual squad. If you look over to the left, that Bear +1 roster, they have experience locking in, playing with some of those individuals as well, which is going to come to be such a huge benefit when we see them on the same side and adapting to the other squads around them.
Yeah, it's so fun. We said this in the EU broadcast. I want to reiterate, some of these people maybe have never been a quote-unquote esports player ever, and now they've got an opportunity to do so here on main stage. So some of these players we don't know a ton about. Some are content creator streamers, some are not. Some are just sweats that have decided to bring a team together. It worked. They made it through qualifiers, and they're here on main stage, which is super fun to see people continue to make a name for themselves. I'm definitely keeping my eyes on NYXE because you're right, they did dominate our show match that we did earlier this week here in Warfare. I expect them to do pretty well today as well. But and a couple quick other notes, I'm also looking at Yabba Dabba Doo down there in the bottom right hand corner, a team that just barely skated in through the qualifiers, were able to pick up a substitution spot, and so they've got a big opportunity to prove themselves here on main stage in customs. But let's keep rolling. We got to keep talking about what's about to happen. Our players are about to get started. And so, yes, as a reminder, we are starting on trench lines, and you'll see it again. Both teams are going to attack and defend. Team Alpha is going to be on the attack for map 1, and then Team Bravo will be on the attack for map 2. But both of those will be trench lines. Pretty simple, and I'm excited to jump into it. Now, Tiff, since we have a moment before this game starts, and I think it's just a small moment, I think the players are chomping at the bit to hop into this very first map. A quick recap of the European side of things. Team Bravo went 4 up, 4 down, literally 4-0 on the day, did not drop a single map on attack or defense, which was pretty impressive and frankly surprising.
I will say the first map on trench lines was incredibly close for them. They did make it, the attack made it all the way to E. It came down to that overtime, and it was just lost out by mere seconds. And that's where things start to get really tough, is because it really depends on those initial points on trench lines, specifically looking at B1, B2. How many lives can you maintain on those specific sectors before you have to realize that we're gonna get stuffed at D1, D2, and then E is tough because all of the artillery barrages, the guided missiles are going to be used straight up on there, and it's going to cost you a lot.
No, that's a really good shout. And to be honest with you, I have a little bit of sneak peek into some of these Discord channels and what the teams are talking about. And I gotta say, as much as Bravo dominated in Europe, here in the Discord for North America, Bravo's talking a lot of strategy and Alpha is talking about a whole lot of nothing. So I don't know if it's going to pay off for him. I don't know if that will be something that hopefully they could use as a boon. They're talking about operator metas. They're talking about which operators their squad is going to run, because as a reminder, yes, they might have all qualified within the same week, and some of them might know each other just from generally being sweats, but these players have never really truly played together as a full team of 20 ever. So they've got an opportunity to hopefully build up some chemistry throughout the course of these 4 matches. But we are into it, folks, straight into game 1, and immediately, as per the usual, you can see the tank on screen already getting a little bit mixy. Anytime you see red players on your screen, that is going to be the attacking team, which right now is Team Alpha. Anytime you see green players on your screen, that's going to be the defending side, which right now is going to be Team Bravo.
Right, you've got NYXE here, starting things off from Team Alpha. on the attacking side of things. And this pathway of playing around this initial rock here on trench lines is looking very similar to what we were witnessing. But Scary Davis here, we saw a lot of talk about what that operator selection was going to look like initially in the first few sectors for trench lines in particular, and a lot of recon, a lot of assault. So I firmly expect that to keep happening here.
Yeah, and I think it's been fun to watch Europe play, but North America always, just in every esport, will play slightly different. It's just the way things are, and so I'll be curious to see if we can notice differences on main stage. But the tried and true classic is, one, we have to use vehicles correctly, and the other side of that is we have to get rid of our opponent's vehicles as fast as possible. And so that's the thing I'm going to be paying attention to. Engineers is going to be a massive boon to be able to use that to keep your vehicles alive. We've seen that blowtorch be everything to make sure these vehicles can stay up. And then the other thing is using your vehicle correctly to stay alive, meaning you can see it right here. I'm not exactly sure who that is in the vehicle currently, but they're doing a great job of staying on the outer perimeter. If you get close, that vehicle is going to be gone. If you get into the mix, yeah, you're going to be in trouble. There's plenty of magnetic bombs, AT4s, and everything in between. But if you stay on the outside and just shell your opponents, help out your team as they push up, likely you're going to get a lot of value out of it.
Ooh, I love that Storskins here was trying to go on a run, but finds two before getting picked apart. But Hardson here on the same roster, hailing from Team Bravo, is not necessarily overextending, but if we're going to be throwing that triple blaster at distance to be able to cover and get some of those enemies out from behind cover, it's a solid way, but that's a 1v6 that we're trying to whittle down.
That's a good shout. It's a quick look from our attacker's POV. Trying to figure out how to get to this first point. And we talk often about things in, like, if you're looking at different game modes, you know, when we talk about operations later tomorrow, we always talk about resource management. Here in Warfare, that's not truly as much of a, I don't know, important point. The resource you have to pay attention to is your lives. And you were just talking about it, and to extend on that point, I think the biggest thing we saw in Europe was just a lot of lives thrown away that ultimately cost games because they didn't have enough lives for the later points that are harder. And so the fact that the defense is actually able to hold A pretty well to start things off, even with an attacker tank on the outskirts shelling, it's pretty impressive. And being able to pick up multiple hero-like plays on the outside, almost was able to pick up a triple there, but instead gets cut down early. This could be an opening that the attackers need.
Yeah, NYXE on the other side just kind of went on a massive spree, especially towards Storskins on your roster, but getting back into it, especially having that therapeutic pistol to get the self-heal right on way. But something is really cool that people forget sometimes about the support operators is they're one of the only classes that can actually rescue players outside of your initial squad, which is so huge when you're trying to create that synergy in a 20v20 area.
That's a good shot. Pick them up quite quickly, too, so definitely keep an eye on that, especially because somebody might already be going for that individual reward of being the top medic of the day. And a nice spree here. It looks like John on screen just got cut down after a triple or so, and it looks like our attackers have finally found footing on point A, so they should get this with ease. As much as I was touting our defense, and well, our defense is actually able to reset back up. I love our overhead cam. Production goes, wait a minute, coach. Don't get too aggressive. Defense is back on the point, and they're right. Look at it. They're able to take back point A from the clutches of attackers. There's actually a huge boon because, again, you're going to get somewhere around the neighborhood of like 80 to 100 tickets per point that you capture, pending the map, pending the point, and a couple variables. And so if you're able to get them down into around 150 or so, you're actually going to see pretty massive value here on your lives. So very well played by the attackers to retake the point and reset up their defense line.
I also really love that when we went into that free cam, you could see specifically where that respawn beacon was kind of situated to allow for the influx to keep on pushing in and make sure that you can get right back into the mix early on. Now, historically, from what we saw over in Europe Warfare today, A was actually faltering pretty quickly. So to change things up thus far here in North America is a really nice change of pace.
Yeah, this is a nice hold of a line here on arguably one of the harder points to hold on this map. And well, the attackers are getting involved from behind. More vehicles now, not just tanks. A lot more options for some of the vehicles you can either call in or spawn in. Those on timers, but of course you can use those credits, you can use the support system to call in reinforcements, whether that's vehicles, artillery strikes, or anything in between. But Halazin here is crushing it, playing inside this tent. Not a lot of cover, but enough visual cover to break LOS and actually get a few kills. Finally cut down, though.
Yeah, but did you see how quickly his teammates were already trying to cover the gap and hit a reset and make sure they get that rescue? Store skins, this is kind of that pathway that he's been working here on A to try and just kind of whittle down all of the reforces. Gets tagged up from behind, unfortunately will be caught off guard, but I love the reaction where it was almost there.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of NYXE in the kill feed right now on the top right-hand side, but that is the attackers able to push on to the point. Arguably one that you almost can toss away and say, it's all good. Let's just reset. They are coming in with max lives here into B1 and B2, and this is the first point that we get to see on trench lines that is that tug of war I will mention many times throughout the course of today's broadcast is how do we take 2 points at once? Do we take one and try to push to the other and potentially trade, or do we try to take both at the same time? One of the most effective strategies we've seen is obviously setting up some big pushes and flanks like you're seeing from our attackers on the right-hand side, but also using the vehicles on what I'll call the weak side to pressure the defense to answer the vehicles and allow your troops to actually take what would be the stronger side and an easier take for you on foot through the ground soldiers.
This is also where we started to see a lot of vehicle usage come through. So people started adapting. They stuck with their recons right away and their assaults for the close range engagements, but then immediately started transitioning to bringing in the Shepherds, bringing in the Allurus as soon as we start seeing that. But Little Kano here still locking it in from Gulag Company on Luna. Now, did have some changes recently with that Season 4 patch, but has still been so preferential, pretty much meta here for the recon ops.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think operation selection was the biggest point of conversation in the Discord, like I was talking about, like who's playing what. And I think those recon operators are going to be massive for the sake of putting out respawn beacons and getting your team where you want them to go. Already the attackers have taken B2, trying to swing over onto B1. They fully locked down this point, and B1's already starting to dwindle. All of a sudden, what I thought was a pretty solid defense is looking like there's a few more chinks in the armor than we expected. I'd be curious to see what our defense is trying to do to try to set this back up and retake this point, or at the very least just hold down B1 as long as they can.
Well, at least that team right there from individual squad on Team Bravo is just doing the best they can, but they just get cut down anytime they get close to an attacking side of things. But Shoes from the inside here alongside Falls, looking for some cheeky angles, bunkering down inside the mix, clearing out the attackers one by one. Make sure you take down all the necessary equipment. We do not want to see that, but through and throughout, the resets coming on in, and now you're gonna have a 1v2 on the inner workings.
Yeah, good luck here in the HQ. I think you're gonna have a tough time trying to protect this onslaught. Defense is really struggling right now, and it looks like they're going to trade. Here's a great overhead perspective. I love these free cams of B1, B2 because it's so easy to see what's happening, but in the map, when you're in the trenches, it does feel like a vertical point, but it's truly just wide open space on top and then the trenches down below. Defense is totally swapped over to B2 and given up B1. Look how far away that tank is playing right now. They know that if they push up, they're going to lose the tank for point C and then into point D, which is a huge miss. So basically you're relegated to playing super support way back on the other side, just trying to shell for some extra positioning and hopefully a little bit of some assist on some of these points if you can get a shell in there. But right now you just stay patient and hope your team can win it to keep your team alive with that tank.
Oh, we saw some epic Viren plays earlier in the Europe warfare, and well, why not have some more here, especially with a lot of the movements, the slides coming on in, and just knowing that he has those magnetic bombs when it needs to be used for those later vehicle pushes, maybe towards E in particular. But for now, with that tank just situated on the perimeter, it's not going to be of issue. But here we go, a nice little free cam shot. As you can see, once again, we're still toggling back and forth between B1, B2. It is basically that handshake trade-off.
Yeah, and again, I call it the strong and weak side. You got to figure out what your strong and your weak sides are. It looks like B2, obviously having been captured by the attackers, they've left a few folk over there to just hold it because they've got to take both of these at the same time. And so ideally, it's a squad, like whether it's the front people like NYXE, your front man, if you will, kind of playing hyper aggressive and trying to open up the door of opportunity for your team on the new point. Or if you're one of the most consistent slayers, can you win 1v2s and 1v3s and play defense on the point you've already secured? And right now, it doesn't look like they can do either, losing both points back to the defense, who is swinging back onto these points and saying, no, not yet. We've got to get you down at least below 200 if we can to see some real value going into the later half of this map.
All right, well, WAG The only recon here, locking in with Luna, going on a massive rampage out here. Finds a couple. Tabs on in. Full team back for NYXE. Love that we're seeing just the way they're able to approach this. Get that arrow out there. Look for the information. It's going to be so preferential, especially if you're going to be diving into these bunkers and keep playing along the trenches now.
And again, now they're watching their flank here. You're going to see some of these defensive operators, now that B2 is starting to get capped, they know where the attackers are located, they know what they're targeting, and so they're going to start swinging on B2. The problem is, if you think this is a massive force and you go over here and it's just a couple guys that are taking the point, could be an issue. You might give up both. So that's one of the things they're weighing and some of the decision making that they have to do on the fly. WAG doesn't care about anybody's decision making. WAG's here to slay out, frag out, and get a ton of kills. Well done, WAG. Routman absolutely getting paid and then finally cut down by somebody spawning just in the outside of the trench he was fighting through. He is definitely cut down on the numbers of the defense and opened up an opportunity for the attackers. Look how much value they're getting out of this. Not only do they get B2, but they're also starting to capture B1. And now it really, the onus of responsibility is on our B2 members to hold that point as long as you can.
Oh, I don't think we were expecting the 1. We go for the 2 and unfortunately get cut down, but I love what they're doing, right? I kind of feel like WAG from NYXE was almost on that solo path of trying to cause a distraction from the defense to split allow and allow other squads to get in there and really start picking apart both of the objectives at the exact same time. So keeping an eye on these players in particular.
And I think one of the things we always talk about too is like there's going to be macro plays that you as a team have to consider and have to coordinate, and then there's also just going to be hero plays. The individual that breaks out of the 20 and says I'll do it myself and wipes 5-6 and opens up the opportunity for the team. So I'm excited about this, folks. We are just getting started here. This is map 1 of North America, and it's looking real good as these teams are jockeying back and forth between points B and B1 and B2.
Still pretty solid. 291. This is where we saw the most resistance over in Europe warfare. And we also have seen people blaze right through it. Unfortunately, that's not the case right now. Team Bravo is putting up a substantial defense. But I still am looking for any kind of adaptations. What can we change up? Is there something that we can maybe change our course of action? You still have the tanks on the outskirts putting pressure from afar. They're maintaining it, especially for the later game of trench lines here.
Yeah, it's a good shot. The tank has gotten closer. It's starting to think, okay, well, maybe I need to get involved. But we have a defensive tank on the map now. You can see it in the kill feed. That's Matfreis that is able to pick up a tank for the defensive side. That should help out at least a little bit. And then, well, it looks like it helped out a lot a bit. Out of nowhere, Tank Shell comes in and picks up 1. And so how do you play these trenches when you've got artillery shells flying in from both teams?
Play around the vehicle. You try not to get hit. You definitely don't want that swarm coming your way from Toxic because you just do not want to give up your hearing, your vision, your reduced HP. Like, that's just something that you can't afford in a close range battle.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of green right now in the kill feed, which is a massive boon for the defense. It does look like they're finally at least giving away a little bit on B2, but there was a moment there where neither of those points were moving at all. The attack has been almost entirely thwarted for the last 100 and 110 lives. And we're finally getting to a point now where this is real value coming in for the defense. Even if the attackers were to capture both these points right now, which it looks like they're doing a really good job of not only getting B2, but pressuring B1 with the vehicles. Look at it. You can see it on the left-hand side right now. Both the Lav and the tank pressuring B1. This is what I expected from the attackers. They were slow playing it at first because they didn't want to risk giving away their vehicles. But now that their lives are dwindling, they are moving quickly onto B1 to try to capture both. This is what I expected, and this is now getting a riskier and riskier play because they have to. The defense is getting value here no matter what now because they're not going to go in with max lives into point C.
Well, we had Yabba Dabba do for a minute, checking in kind of with them and seeing what they're able to do through the defensive side of things. Looks like we're just going to focus on clearing back out B2, keeping people up on their feet, preserving whatever we can. But remind yourselves, they came in, the attacking side of things, 400 tickets. maxed out. We're almost halfway through.
Yeah, and well, one thing we've learned about trench lines is somebody's got to protect this hidey hole. The problem is, with concussive nades, anything coming from toxic, it is difficult to try to hold down a single point like that in Warfare. It is utter chaos always. That is the name of the game here in Warfare. Now, it looks like our lab is getting very involved when it comes to trying to push to B2, and because of that, they've lost the vehicle, which is not ideal for the attackers, losing a vehicle this early. But they were trying to get NYXE, and I think it's paying off. Look at that. B2 now going to the way of the attackers. B1 still held, but losing ground. They just cannot quite figure out how to take both at the same time.
Here we go. The Gulag company. Seems like we're having a little bit of an observing curse. Anytime we pop onto an individual squad, they just get absolutely annihilated. So let's check in with someone else. And they're actually a good idea. Go free cam. Let's see the way we're situated and trying to collapse on the inner workings of the bunker just ahead. You can see at least 5 players, incredibly low health, but it does get picked apart. But I like that we're keeping the strength in numbers. So it's like you can't just let them feed in and find, you know, a single player here, a single player there. It's like, no, you're getting traded out immediately if you're trying to lay siege. But just like that, B1, B2, both captured.
Yeah, very well played, and you can see the value that the defense got from being able to hold it for that long. Obviously, it's about an 80-point spread, basically an 80 life spread there. You can max out at 400, so the fact they're coming in with around 75, 80 less than max, not bad. They would have liked to get much more on B1, B2, especially because traditionally C has been almost an instant grab from the attackers. If you can kind of waylay and almost kind of take down some kills in a more sequential fashion rather than all at once, your defense is never set up on time. Everybody's respawning on different timers, and it's just an utter mess. And so C goes very quickly usually. So I'll be curious to see how long they can hold C here. But again, to get any true value out of C, you got to hold for about 100 lives or so, 115. And that's when you start to see any value on the actual lives leaderboard moving to next point. So I can't imagine that happens, but we'll see what the defense is able to do.
Well, talk about the attacking. It's NYXE with the vehicle just wreaking havoc as they keep on pushing through. But you're just going to have to find the way. Do you translate? Do you try to get into an engineer for the defensive squad to really focus? Or are you going to be using the magnetic bombs from Byron? Whichever makes you feel comfortable. The difference is that is you have to close the gap. You have to get close to the vehicle you're looking to destroy to connect that magnetic bomb.
Yeah, it's a good shot, and it looks like, I think it's the FSV wheeled tank destroyer that's getting into the mix and getting very close into the action here on C to try to open up a window of opportunity for the attackers, and it looks like it worked. We've still got the M1 tank off into the distance, shelling in, but look at it, this tank destroyer is getting involved. It looks like the defense finally has a vehicle of their own. We saw a vehicle drop ready for some of our players, so you can use those credits to be able to call in your reinforcements. And look how far away our tank is playing from the side of the attackers, making sure that nobody can get involved, and they're just shredding from a distance. And as C gets taken here by the attackers, no problem. This is a lot of what we expected. And all that hard work Tiff, on B1, B2, all completely gone. 400 lives moving in to point D.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I love that I saw the entirety of Bear Plus One squad inside the building once claiming victory for C, but now it's working on the setup. Maybe you have a couple of these picks, the one-off kills that are going as we work our way over towards D, but for now, within 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the position, we're climbing up the hills. Defense is going to meet vehicles on the main road right there, trying to explode each other up. This is where you're going to need all of your engineers.
Yeah, the vehicles are going to have to get a lot closer now to actually get involved. Look at them. They're flying right in right now. The wheeled tank destroyer is involved. It looks like a lav on the side of the defense should help things out a little bit. Now, D1 and D2 is interesting. It's going to feel a lot more kind of like B1, B2 in this tug of war that we've traditionally seen between Lumberyard and the artillery position. But one's a lot more open than the other. So this is what we were talking about last time in the EU broadcast. It's how do you secure command HQ while also maintaining control over your lumberyard. It's pretty difficult to do because of the wide open spaces. You can see some more longer range, mid-range weapons starting to be used now that you're no longer in the trenches, and obviously vehicles seeing a ton of value already.
Yeah, but did you not? We just literally saw a D-Wolf with the triple blaster try to pop on over, get even closer, and try to stick them onto the vehicle. So I really respect that. We do have a strategic beacon coming on in, which is going to be great if you're trying to get your allies back on in. But let me just tell you, if I'm someone, I want to make sure that I get that destroyed, especially on the opposing team.
Yeah, I like that. And the defense has a nice lob off into the distance that's able to get a lot of value here on the points, and it looks like they're actually going to drive into the mix straight up onto D2 and say, not today, boys. This is not your opportunity to capture D2, not while I'm alive. And I think the attackers will take that to heart. Here comes another vehicle. Vehicle on vehicle warfare looks clean. Vehicle on infantry warfare, not so much. But the attackers lose a vehicle after a mistimed push by themselves into D2. -1 vehicle is going to be a problem for the attackers, and this other tank getting very mixy, and as such starting to lose a ton of life, having to smoke back up and get some engineers on it ASAP. So there's a little bit of a reprieve from the tank shelling of the attackers, but it's going to be right back into the action very quickly with how many engineers are being played.
Still think the attackers are focusing on a lot of our supports and assaults. One Hat Claw here for UTP on their individual squad. Good setup, as you can see them just kind of undercover, playing alongside Bear, but the flank is there. You've really got to keep an eye on Mirudos, Sarados. That individual squad has been pretty crazy in terms of fragging potential for Team Bravo on the defense.
That's a really good shout. And you can see a couple Stinger operators. You're right. We're seeing more what people are usually called medics, and going for top medic likely. More medics this time in North America than we saw in Europe. It's giving this team a lot of value. You can even tell, even on the attacker side, there's got to be a ton of Stingers because, well, they've only used 54 lives and counting on these 2 points. And are already seeing decent value as our tanks are getting mixy. This is a little bit risky, but it also can pay off. So high risk equals high reward in this case. So you're trying to get onto these points, secure some sectors, but at the same time not lose that tank.
Right-handed units marked.
Oh, there's that squad we were just talking about, specifically on the defense for Team Bravo here. We saw some hero plays coming around from initially on A, but finally getting to see back them on main here for D1, D2, working around the perimeter on these rocks and just ripping apart. Now, we did see a couple, specifically store skins, I think, that was basically like, I'm going to go on the forefront. I want to make sure that I'm swinging, kind of trying to deter people from switching up this back lane here. And with the free cam, you can kind of see where the large majority of that defense is situated on the team that I'm talking about, but with the smokes all around, it does cut off some of that LOS on them.
Yeah, it looks like our attackers are able to call in another tank, which is going to be a problem. Yeah, point it out for him, BTO. I agree. Somebody figure that out. Stinger's not going to do that. Pull out a D-Wolf, pull out an AT4. Whatever you need to do to take down some of these vehicles. It's definitely going to be a primary objective for the defense, as they're slowly but surely losing D1 again. Again, doing a decent job, but we've got to think back. At least I do think back to Europe and think about what happened. Obviously, I think the first game, we really went down to the wire. It was almost overtime, and then the defense was able to hold on. And one of the reasons they were able to do that is because the attackers only had about 160 lives going to point E. We got a long way to go for the defense to hold that long here on D1 and D2. A lot of work to do. We'll see what they're able to do. Potentially get close to that number so that E can be just that much easier and just enough to be able to hold it all the way through.
Well, I love that they're going to invest in an artillery barrage to kind of clear some things out. Now, granted, it is going to be one of the lesser expenses in terms of getting that air support on that call-in abilities, but for Scary Davis, B2 Burt here on your screen from the OGs, still bunkered on in, trying to clear out the attacking side.
I think we always see a ton of value from guided missiles if called in correctly. Artillery strikes a little bit more of some covering explosions than anything. Ideally, you land them on vehicles and things like that to hopefully push them out of a space you want to go to, almost like a zoning technique, but it certainly can get you a few kills. Looks like defense truly is doing well. And now on your screen, players are ready with some more vehicle drops. And when if you can denote that to your team, Tiff, that is kind of a signal flare to say, hey, if I'm getting another tank into the mix, one of our tanks needs to play aggro and start helping us cap points rather than playing back and playing support.
Well, speaking of that, remember the adaptation we were talking about hearing that our players discussing? As soon as a majority of vehicles come on in, we need a change to engineers. Well, we got 2 Shepherds and a Luru, and they're still playing with Bert on that Stinger, feeling confident to be able to have the heals across the way. But NYXE have just been maintaining the perimeter so exceptionally, and they'll even have one member of that team just go on the crazy attack. That player is like, I am just going to focus on distractions, which allows you to feed those vehicles straight through. But from here, you can just kind of really see the individual players working between the tanks.
Yeah, and a shout, I couldn't see all the names, but a big shout to the people holding the front line. It opened up the opportunity for the defense to actually spawn in correctly. That's one of the things you're going to pay attention to is spawn flipping and where these players are coming from. As the points are taken, things are going to change. And the defense there had to set up a thin line, frankly, for a while. Finally, spawns started coming in, respawn beacons or otherwise, and they were able to set up a true defense here between D1 and D2. It truly does look like a standoff now, front to front from D2 to D1. So I'm wondering who's going to break first.
Ooh. Picked apart. Hearts in here, locking in. On the assault.
Wow.
Love to see that. I thought that was going to manifest into more kills than what we officially got, but that's the risk that you run into. If you're going out on that solo play, you're not likely going to pick up individual kills. Someone's always going to be looking for that trade.
Yeah, I think these customs are also going to be a bit of a wake-up call. All of these players, all 40 of them, it's 20 versus 20. They're all accustomed to flying and frying in public lobbies. I mean, they're putting up 120-plus kill games, just astronomical numbers. And so they're used to being that kind of hero player for their team where they swing on a flank and pick up 10 kills or something ridiculous. In customs, that's going to be a lot harder because just winning a 1v1, like you just saw there from Bear, was able to pick up 1 but doesn't win the second, is extremely difficult. Everybody can shoot back, and they can shoot back quite well to get to this stage. So getting more than 2 or 3 is a hero play in my book and helps out your team pretty dramatically if you think about the numbers.
Hey, well, we got another strategic beacon coming on in, and we're just trying to maintain up here in the sector. Defense trying to hold on to whatever they can at this point, but they're doing a really good job because even when they start to like deter away, as you see UTP here on your screen, they're going to be on that attacking side of things, trying to break down the defense. Look at what they're making them do. We're bringing in guided missiles at this point to try and clear out D1, D2, which is going to make things so much more expensive getting towards E.
Here we go. I believe the first one of potentially many, and absolutely nothing for it that I can see. Unfortunately, it looks like there was an attacker guided missile trying to blow it up. What it does, though, is it does zone off the defense off the point to give you some nice value on the point if you can hold it. And while that one gave us some value, Holozin YT with, I think, 5 or 6 massive value from Holozin looks like came in from the defensive side to try to even the tally here and answer back.
I think that's going to save them in that grand scheme of things, because when you really saw all the teams that were going down, it looked like the majority of Bear +1 got picked apart on that initial roundabout. So trying to hold on, but OGs from the defensive side of things, we are down to 5 HP in a dream.
Yeah.
And I see a ton of attackers on the opposing side of this, and look how close it is.
Oh, it was so close. The defense was trying to make a late moment push over to point D1. We saw the kind of green icon pop up there for just a moment. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. The last point of trench lines. And Tiff, we know it. We love it. It's one of my favorite points in the game. This is going to be so difficult to hold for 347 lives. It's not max, but it is dang close. You can see them coming from afar, but look how many vehicles they've been able to keep alive. I think I saw 2 tanks, and I want to say that's a Lav swinging around the right-hand side. So there's a decent chance this could go very quickly, pending this defensive tank's abilities to take out their opponents. And right now, it's already at half health. As you can see, our players trying to figure out ways to get these vehicles out of here as soon as possible.
I mean, Scary Davis knows what he needs to do. Lock in Shepard. Use the equipment that you get from the engineer class and just make sure you put the pressure straight onto the vehicles. I also did see a member of the defense pop on up into the windmill early on. Now, will we be seeing a sniper invested looking for that long range? I'm not sure, but at least getting information for the team is vital.
That would be me. I'm going to be honest, you know, super sweaty customs or just general pubs, I'm getting up at that windmill and I am sniping for days. Frankly, I think based on the weapons we're seeing on the ground troops here, most of those probably can't touch you enough to actually take you out. The real thing you're going to be watching out for is if you're actually being a menace, a tank's going to shell you is going to be the actual issue. So I'll be curious. Let's take a quick look at that from up here. And it does look... Oh, okay. Well, that's one way to take care of things. I think somebody was trying to figure out what they needed to do, but an attacker, I believe this is WAG, comes up here and gets involved and says, yeah, no more of that. Yeah, I died to you once, not again. And now has a nice Overwatch position to help us team out.
This is disgusting. I mean, look, now we're going to fly on down, parachute with the AUG in hand, and that's what we've been witnessing from that NYXE roster. But this is the pressure that you get. Almost every time you pop on out of the windmill, you do lose a life, but that's okay. You've got plenty of them. 324 right now for E.
Yeah, it's going to be a war of attrition for a little while, likely. I mean, obviously, if somebody is an absolute hero and picks up 5, 6, 7 or more, things could change. But this is what you're really waiting for, a war of attrition until the guided missiles change the game. Ideally, with a missile, if you can try to target some of these tanks on the perimeter, I'd be dropping it not on E, but on the outside. And that's exactly what happens. Unfortunately, Matt Freeze picks the wrong side and only picks up 1 in transition. Maybe enough to find some leeway on the point, but not what he was hoping for with that much invested from a credit standpoint.
That is true. Strategy being an incoming, but the Immortals did what they could. So guided missiles incoming now yet again. Will this be on the attacking side or the defense? But for right now, we'll go to the free cam. We'll see where it connects and we'll see what happens this time. We do find some, but it's coming in from Neo's select over on Immortals yet again. Store Skins on Team Bravo does try to answer back with some semblance of their own. So this is usually the back and forth that we're talking about when it comes to E.
Yeah, and again, you know, as much as we love shouting at the guided missiles, they look so dang good on broadcast, and they really do open up this map. Look at this. The attackers are getting nice headway onto point E and moving the tanks up onto the point to make sure it gets fully secured. They can change the game, and another well-placed guided missile on the right-hand side that's going to come from blocking, and that's also going to be on Team Alpha. That's also going to be on the attack over and over again, shelling the point. Ployd now drops one down as well. Ployd trying to answer back from the defense there on Team Bravo. I don't know if it was enough to hold the point, but maybe, just maybe, enough to at least give them room to breathe in defense to make one more final push.
You know what I'm loving about Team Alpha right now is they've got FourFun Esports and the Immortals kind of isolated out on the perimeter with NYXE getting their boots on the ground inside of E themselves. This is the first time we're actually seeing them pop on off because that was such a massive airstrike coming in from the Gulag company.
Yeah, that was a nice save. Little Cano was able to pick up a ton with that one. So pretty wild to see, you know, again, if you pick up 3-4 kills, that's great. You pick up 6-7, you know, you're starting to get into a very significant portion of this lobby.
Strategic beacon deployed.
Ooh, that was a good answer back. Let's be real here. WAG, now NYXE, forced to play on the perimeter side of things. Looking for some health, finally regenning. Nice. Rasta coming in. Thank you so much. That's what's so nice about having a Stinger on your squad.
And here we go. Yet again, these defense missiles are going to be crucial. An attacker missile, obviously, could change things up. Doug Zero. Holy cow. Gulag Company says, how about more? How many missiles can they call in? Picks up 5 or 6 at the very least. A massive effort for the side of Gulag Zero on the Team Bravo. Look at how much that changed point E. It is fully recaptured by the defense. Very well executed. Still tank warfare on point, but the defense can breathe. Not only can they breathe, they can set up a new line of defense and try to take out these tanks. If they can get these 2 attacker tanks, there's still hope for the defense.
Well, Rasta here on NYXE. Holding down the buildings and still trying to clean it on out. The fact of the matter is you see 1, 2, all coming in, checking up the stairs, but we're still doing a really good job with the smokes down at the bottom that you're maintaining all of that. Here comes another guided missile. We're getting the sound, so maybe we see a big play here again. Does it connect for it? No, I see nothing.
Yeah, it looked like maybe there was a chance of it to connect, but I think that was called in from the defense based on what I could tell. And quickly, again, Rasta, we're kind of sticking to this POV. They've got a really powerful position inside the zone. NYXE is doing a great job of thwarting all of these advances at much lower numbers than their opponents. And if you can put a strategic beacon up here to where your team can respawn in the building, this is what turned the tide of the attacker side in our European competition. And of course, players know that. So they know that, hey, if we can get some beacons inside the building, we've got a much better opportunity to get this win.
More call-ins all over the place. We knew this was going to keep on happening. This is pretty much how E works. And this time, you can just see how much that ripped apart. Give me more. Give me more chaos.
I think that was Sonic from FourFun Esports there in Team Alpha on the attack. So definitely opened some things up on the back line, and you can see it reflected on the capture point. It looks like our attackers are getting aggressive again, trying to formulate another push. Z09 able to push up onto the point and have a massive opportunity to get a ton of value here. Point E, about 10% of the way captured on the side of the attackers, and this is a massive moment. Look, you see that Stinger come in and pick up a ton of rescues on point. That's going to help this bar continue to creep towards the attackers. We're over 50% of the way there, and a couple more guided missiles on the way. Can we take the point before the missile, or will it ruin this push? The defense yet again using all of their credits to hold the line. 200 and counting lives remaining, and a massive missile coming in from Snake. I call him Snake. It's SN4 and Sarada following up. That's about 10 kills in total between the two of them.
Look, sometimes if you're the defense, you got to call in that Hail Mary play and see if you can do whatever works for them. And that seems to be netting them some nice time onto E. 201 tickets to go. But all of this is very expensive. So maintaining all of your credits, your points, with everything that you need to time these with perfect precision. Let's see how this goes. You start to see people scattering, right? Connects for 4. We're grabbing 4 from that alone, thanks to the Immortals.
Yeah, that's going to come from Team Alpha again. The attack able to continue to try to open things up here. UTP now on your screen. With Bunny Quid. Watching this team compete and work their way up to the main stage. Truly a back and forth yet again from both of our squads. Team Alpha, Team Bravo seemingly fairly balanced, at least for point E. What I thought had a massive attacker advantage. The defense doing a fantastic job as another missile comes flying in and really takes down, it looks like only 3 or so. That's Bear, Cepheus going down from BTO Burt with the triple with the guided missile. Gonna open things up a little bit more as UTP tries to play Overwatch here, but not gonna get a crazy amount of value here besides some comms.
I was gonna say, come on, ZZ Top over here from UTP. I get that we're on the attacking side of things, and that felt like I was in a movie for a hot second, but it didn't necessarily work, but it looked cool.
It definitely looked cool. We've got Stort Skin, Mira Sarada, Palazin. Talking to them a lot leading up to this competition. They've been really excited to be here and show what they have. They are definitely sweats when it comes to warfare. Plays game mode a lot, and we've been talking a lot about Storeskins today and what he's been able to do on the map. I'll be really excited to see the stat lines after this, see who our top performers were on each squad, but it's all about the win. 167 lives remaining for the side of the attackers. They've got to start formulating something. There's a chance, a moment where we thought maybe the attackers were thinking, hey, this is going to be free. We're walking through every point nice and easy, but I don't think they can say that anymore. They got to get a bit more strategic and try to coordinate some of these attacks, whether it's with missiles or otherwise. How do we take this point effectively? And I think that was a lot of guided missiles burned up by the defense as well. And as the game tells us we're halfway there, now's the time to make a push, and the tank is right on the point, trying to open up a push.
Well, Bear here on the attacking side of things. You got BTO Burt is going to be in the vehicle, so that's on the defensive side. But being in here, you're just allowed to hit a nice reset, clear things out, shoot at everything. I completely get it, but locking in, whether or not you want to use the Volt Arrow, throw down, do the damage over time, but you kind of just nestle yourself in here with a nasty head peek and just fire through the smokes. Regardless, if you can stay here and deny, knowing that NYXE on the attacking side of things loves to push that particular pathway, you guys can really find some success together.
Yeah, BTO Burt driving this pig and trying to take down this other tank. I mean, they are neck and neck to see who can get the win. It looks like I think our defending tank is still alive, looking for a few repairs after some nice tank warfare, and that's going to be a huge boon for the defense to be able to hold the attackers off. It's been interesting to take a look at some of our different squads. You see Bear on your screen right now. They're running Luna and then triple Stinger, so they are more focused on that support style of play. Obviously, they can play frag, they can go frontman if they need to, but they're trying to keep their teammates alive, yes, and also get information with that Luna. A lot of value coming from Luna. A lot of value coming here from Bear, who is pushing into the fight and saying, let me see if I can pick up a couple and potentially open up an opportunity. Not looking like that's going to be the case. Continue to check out different teammates that respawn and see what they can do. Again, Bear on the attack right now, trying to play around their tank. And here comes another guided missile. We'll see which side it's coming in from.
Ooh, BTO Burt. Falls on down. Keep your eyes out. That freeze, Sirent still in the building, but that was huge. And that is what you need if you're on Team Bravo.
Yeah, that's a massive one from Zveri 09. That whole squad has been doing very well today, but that guided missile picked up 7 or 8. That is going to be at the very least put down up to 50% on E, and this next guided missile could seal the deal one way or the other. As per the usual, the window of opportunity is back open, and somebody's trying to shut it. This might be a missile that could change the tide of things or do little to nothing. Naponsk able to get 2, and somehow, some way, the defense has battled back through the building, back onto the point, and somehow able to keep this game alive and hold the attackers to 99 lives.
Ooh, picked apart after peeking for 2 seconds. But how are you going to be able to get them out of there? I feel like a lot of our individual squads have been vying for this same positioning, nestled in between the building and Bear here. Gallard and Julf hunkered down together, trying to avoid the missiles and playing it so passively.
Oh my gosh. It got up to 92% maybe, and then a gigantic missile comes back onto the point. I think that's going to be Z9. A crazy push to save the day there for a moment, trying to open this thing back up. We've got Bear pushing onto the point with a ton of eliminations, but the problem is, every time the attackers get this point to a position where we're like, no, they got it, no problem, 90%, another missile comes in and saves the day, keeping their dreams alive, and all of a sudden, the attackers now are on the ones that are on their heels here, Tiff. 73 lives and counting. All of a sudden, the attackers are the ones that are sweating profusely right now as they're trying to push. This could be the one. Yet again, do we have another missile? We do.
Keep an eye on it. They're trying to hit a Hail Mary here. 4. I'm holding it down. Pablito with the angles up here from above. Wow. Artillery barrage called in, and it is yet again Zveri 09 from Team Bravo looking for defensive support. Yes, it bides them maybe a couple ticks onto E, and that is enough, right? When you start looking at the total amount of tickets, we are down to just 56.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know who is going to be the MVP of either squad after this one, but my personal Goj MVP is going to be Zveri 09. That squad has come in with the most clutch defensive missiles I've seen in a long time here on trench lines. In the final hour, in the final 10% of the point. Unbelievable. The job is not done. 47 doesn't feel like a lot, but the attackers still have the advantage on the point. Pablito up above trying to provide some aerial support, but the tanks are rolling in. This could be one of their biggest pushes yet if they coordinate it correctly. And our defense is consistently stinger after stinger, rescue after rescue, trying to keep bodies on this point.
Yeah, but I mean, this is what's great for Bear +1, right? If you're gonna lock in with their 3 Stingers and a Luna and try to preserve as many lives in actually E as possible, but we just went down another 20, and they're making that progress. They're inching themselves towards that halfway point, but what is going to happen, especially when you've got some members of NYXE still running amok in the tanks, trying to get that perimeter secure for them, and we saw Matt Freeze is doing it too. So Bear is gonna be so critical here. We've lost 4 lives. We're over halfway. Do we secure this?
A massive moment, 90% and counting. This is the push they needed. Bear +1 leading the charge from the backside, trying to hold it down. And if I saw that correctly, that is going to be a team alpha victory, with Bear +1 on the backside holding down the flank to make sure the defense couldn't get onto the point, and the rest of the team square up on the point with that tank, saying, you know what, we lose our tank here, we lose the game regardless, might as well go for broke. And apparently, instead of going for broke, they grabbed the riches and grabbed map 1 victory in the final hour. And Tiff, you know where my brain goes? It goes back to B1 and B2, D1 and D2, not enough depletion of lives. They held them for over 300 lives on point E. Unbelievable job from the defense. It just wasn't good enough on that last point. Here's a quick look back at some of those replays, Tiff.
It's crazy that they were able to do so much on E, but I think you were right. It was a lot of those well-timed artillery barrages, those guided missiles coming in and just absolutely decimating the attacking side. But this is where you get to see initially A. Now, A was held by the defense substantially longer than what we had witnessed over in Europe Warfare for trench lines, but you are 100% accurate when it came to B1, B2. Would have loved to see more, but that's okay because this attacking side of things, NYXE on your screen, was just doing so much to distract and cause chaos.
Yeah, I mean, the thing you got to remember too is, like, when you start thinking about the lives lost on each of these points and what you actually need to see value, the real problem is not actually B1, B2, it's actually C. You know that the attackers are going to pick up C and gain lives moving from C to D. It happens every single time. So if you only deplete, I don't know, 30 lives in total after the regain of capturing B1 and B2, it's just not going to be enough. We get to D with maximum amount of lives, 400 lives going into D1, D2, and they didn't even need half of that to be able to capture both these points. Looks like a little bit of some misfortune as a vehicle drop landed on our head, as is that of the warfare chaos. Sometimes things happen that you don't intend to happen, but even still, our attackers did a great job, and a few guided missiles certainly paved the way. But as we got to point E, 350 lives to take point E. And frankly, in my mind, it was just a matter of time. Some massive moments, tons of guided missiles. But Tiff, I just keep thinking, like, even another 40 lives on B1, B2, another 40 lives on D1 or D2, and the defense wins this.
Oh, it could have completely changed the trajectory, but it's great to say that in hindsight as we sit here in the booth and after we witnessed the first initial map of NA Warfare. I'm just like, okay, great. But now you still have 3 more games left today to kind of answer back, make your adjustments. But NYXE, there's something about them being in some of the most wild places and positioning themselves to wreak havoc. We talked about it, especially on B1, B2. Now look at them on E. I said they were kind of fighting for this initial positioning right next to the building, and even Bear +1 was quite frequently always there.
Yeah, they definitely were trying to play support and kind of play the backside of the attacking space. Again, they were running triple Stinger and a Luna, so definitely more of a support role from an information standpoint and getting bodies up on the point. But again, the Goj MVP, regardless of whether the actual MVP, was the defensive strikes, the guided missiles from Z9. Unbelievable job from that team to come in clutch over and over again. Zveri 09 really did a great job on the defense to keep things alive for their team as long as humanly possible. And you can see the win coming through right now with 32 lives remaining after all of that. Over 300 lives spent, 320 spent on point E, and just not enough room to work with for the defense. Very, very close though. And I think, Tiff, as my mind goes back to our tiebreaker, should things get tied up, if you're going to lose on the defensive side, at least the attackers only logged 32 total lives remaining. I mean, you did a great job. You're definitely going to help yourself out if things get really mixy. But Tiff, yeah, what do you think about that first map? Give me a quick hit, a sentence or two. NA versus EU. Any differences, any major hits?
I think we have a lot more stingers in the mix, especially with teams that are looking for, you know, 2 and 3 stingers in particular on their individual squadrons. So maybe we're just trying to make the most and keep everyone getting rescued all apart, using the smoke screens, kind of getting those pistols out there and creating those healing smokes. So I love what they're doing there, but that is definitely a big differential. We didn't see too much of the engineers come out until we hit really around D1, D2, which was what people were going to be talking about, but it was more shepherds, less Allurus than I would have noticed in comparison when you're looking at Europe.
Well, I don't know if it made a huge difference, but I did see a lot of stingers. I think we might see a nice race at the top for our top medic by the end of the day, folks. We're going to head to a very short break, and while you're taking this break, you might want to get some water because that was dang sweaty. When we come back, we're going to see Team Bravo on the attack. You're not going to want to miss it.
Man's fear of darkness is imprinted in our genes. In the absence of light, we become prey, hunted by nameless dangers and unknown fears.
Where do you think Havoc's boss went?
Dead, probably.
And who's paying their soldiers? Who's there?
We try to seek solace by the faint light of fire.
Where is that noise from?
But a deal was made with the dark. And the darkness became a weapon. There's no waiting for the protection of dawn. A winner must be crowned tonight.
Hostiles detected.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Global League Season 1 in a Warfare Finals. I gotta say, Map 1 was a banger, Tiff, and I've been saying that a lot today because these maps have been so much fun to watch, and I want you to take us through the leaderboard that we have ready for everybody at home because I'm seeing some of these scores, and this is nuts. Take a look at the left-hand side. NYXE numbers are,
Through the roof? Through the roof? Can we talk about Syrians right there at the top? 55,000 scores, 157 kills. Not only that, 103 from SnarfFX. Matt Freeze, 110, who was basically living inside the tank on E for the majority of it, just lighting people up. This is pure insanity. Gosh.
Yeah, look, okay. I said something during that game like, oh, they're getting hundreds of kills, you know, in pubs. My bad. I guess you can do it in customs too. My goodness. Now, we did basically go the distance. We almost couldn't have had a longer game, to be fair. But even still, 157 kills in a lobby of this category, in this caliber, is unbelievable. 55,000 score overall from Syrant there with NYXE. We knew they were going to be a dominant squad today. I even saw somebody in chat say, man, we're watching this NYXE squad quite a bit. I'm like, yeah, I guess for good reason. They're 4 of the top 5 players on Team Alpha, which is our winning side. The next highest score line in kills is obviously from NYXE, which you called out from Matt Freeze at 110 kills. But let's take a look at our overall squad scores and squad kills. I can only imagine who we know we're going to be at the top. And, well, it's not even close. Look at that. NYXE at the top of Team Alpha. 418 kills in one game as a combined squad. That is unreasonable. On the other side, Gulag Company, which was a very fun team to watch for the defense, did a great job. That was Doug Zero with one of the biggest guided missiles today. And then you can see all of our squads ranked there. A bit surprising on my side to see the score of Zveri 09 that low, given the amount of value they gave their team. But Tiff, one of the things we talked about you know, during the EU broadcast was like, hey, everybody's got a role. And frankly, to get wins, you need people in those roles. Not everybody's going to be your top scorer, top fragger, because they might not be fighting on the point itself.
That's true, but we do have a lot of those side objectives, right? And I think that after game number 1, it's something that you need to start thinking about, right? So with that MVP squad, it can only be from the winning team. So as of right now, whichever Team Alpha or Team Bravo is going to be on top, let's say at the end of the day, it's Team Alpha. NYXE is doing everything that they need to do to stay on top, but it is very close on score lines as we get a look at that map rotation. Friendly reminder, Team Alpha takes the dub there on the attacking side of things. So as we go into trench lines, Team Alpha will be on the defense.
Yeah, that's right. It's a great shout. And yes, headed back to trench lines, which we're excited about. Excited to see maybe what Team Bravo could do on the attack this time. And, you know, it's funny because as much as we've been talking about Europe and Team Bravo supremacy, not today already. This is the first Team Alpha win we've seen thus far. Obviously, totally different teams, totally different squads. And any sort of weird verbal curse we were talking about is not true, apparently, even in the first round. Great job from Team Alpha to get the win there. And a great job from Team NYXE to dominate the leaderboards right now. We'll see if they can keep up that pace or if that was a, you know, one-hit wonder, if you will. Now, folks, while we're waiting for game 2 to get started, you might be asking yourself, wait a minute, I didn't hear about this. How do I learn about these things? Well, guess what? You can follow Delta Force on all of their major socials. They've got every single one you can think of, and we're live on almost every single one, from Twitch, of course, to YouTube. Wherever you're watching right now, make sure you drop a follow, and also follow the brand new Delta Force esports account on Twitter or X. It's a great way to learn all of the new updates, ways to get involved, frankly, with this Delta Force esports ecosystem. It's brand new. This is season 1. You can follow them at DF Game Esports over there on X/Twitter. A great opportunity to stay up to date on all things esports here in the Delta Force because frankly you should. It is so much fun. Today is a warfare day. This is North America Warfare show you're watching. Tomorrow is operations. So we're gonna get a chance to see all of Delta Force ecosystem within this esports space. So very fun stuff. Now, Tim, as we hop into game number 2, I think we learned a lot during game number 1 about what these squads are able to do, the score lines they're able to put up, and how fast North America is coming out swinging. So as we're talking about leaderboards, talk to me about maybe what worked really well for NYXE that you saw. Was it just getting really aggressive, or was there some secret strategy you saw on main?
I think it was their positioning, right? And just kind of the operator composition they were running with that was allowing them to do what they were doing in terms of their pathing. Now, I think we did see, was it Sarent in particular, was popping around in some of the tanks as well as we started getting through D1, through D2, into E, and kind of allowing his team members, his individual squads to play around that and just frolic. But I also mentioned in particular on E that they loved being on the actual sector itself and completely eviscerating everyone that they found, which was in similar to that same position that we saw Bear +1 in, right on the outskirts of that building, kept coming through the main doorway and just trying to play that head peek and just running pathways through that. And then anytime they would go weak in terms of their health, they just had a friendly stinger out there with the health regen to help them.
Yeah, it was probably Bears, to be honest. Well, we'll see what they're able to do this time on the defense as we are hopping into game 2. Back to trench lines we go. And all of our attackers from last round, all defending this time around. Let's see how long they can hold point A as we stop and start first, rather, with the Bear squad on your screen. Bear +1. It looks like they probably replaced somebody on their normal roster, which is why they added the +1 to it, which I love. So let's see what they can do on the defensive side.
You get a couple respawn beacons already invested just behind to maybe get that respawn straight into A. So for Bear, we got at least 2 stingers. I see an Aluru, and I believe Cepheus is actually locked in the Luna, unless we're going to see some changes here. No, respawning straight in and keeping with the same vibes.
Yeah, again, I think anytime you talk to any Warfare players out there, they always talk about Luna being very, very strong right now. And one of those reasons is because the amount of value you can bring your team, not only with your traditional recon arrow, but even those shock arrows give you a ton of information for you, your squad, your entire team. It marks people, and it marks them clear as day through buildings, behind walls, and through smokes. So super, super valuable. But obviously, you're not going to be using Luna to probably take out a tank. So something else to keep in mind, but a massive flank here, Finn. Wow. All right, Zveri 09 is getting involved in the point very quickly and picking up double, triple, and even more potentially.
So we want for Team Bravo on the attacking side of things, but you can see 2 Toxics, a Hackclaw, and a Viren. Talk about a hyper-aggressive attacking comp here. I was curious if we could wait up. We got 43 seconds left on that data swarm, and you know what that does. It is a nuisance, right? It's going to give you that adrenaline boost for your allies, but it's going to cause visual clutter, hearing impairment, and the health regen issues for the enemies.
Yeah, everything you don't want when chaos is all around you and you're looking for every opportunity. Now, while we've been chatting, point A is long gone. And frankly, mostly on the back of Zveri 09. I mean, he picked up, I think, 6 or so just from that one player on our screen, clearing the point and taking it immediately. To talk about a great way to start, coming in full lives into B1, B2. Again, as much as I keep saying this, this is kind of the tipping point of this map. This will set the tone for this map. And how hard of a task will it be to defend the final point is how many lives you spend right now on B1 and B2.
Well, this is the team that really woke up on Team Bravo, in particular on E, because you did have Little Kano and Doug Zera kind of coming in with some really clutch call-in support to almost save the day for Team Bravo on the defensive side of things. And now seeing them on the attack, they're just bringing that momentum straight forward.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, they spent 300 lives on E. This is the tall task, but they know how valuable this is going to be. They are trying to do the exact same thing that the attackers last round did, which is take B1 and B2 immediately. And that way they have maximum amount of lives going into point D. Because again, you're basically assuredly getting a positive net game of lives on point C of probably at minimum 50 to 60, if not more. So for point B1 and B2 to be a detriment to your game as the attackers, you would have to capture at like around 200 lives or so potentially for it to even matter. And so they got plenty of room to work with here on B1 and B2, but just want to make sure that they do get to work.
Definitely doing so, and let's be real here as we kind of work behind the actual shield, trying to invest the frag grenades, threading the needle, but Cepheus finding a moment of reprieve. What? The point blank come in, catch him off by surprise for sure.
Yeah, that'll do. Stick somebody point blank. Cepheus unfortunately going down there, but trench warfare engaged, and the attackers trying to figure out how to utilize their tank efficiently. Obviously a key point to their strategy, playing around the outside, picking off anybody that tries to creep over the top. Basically, if you shortcut in trench lines, you better dive into the next hole or you are going to go down immediately. Whether it's a tank shell or a gun, either way, you are wide out in the open, which is why they built the trenches. Stay in the trenches, don't shortcut, and you might survive.
Well-timed reload, backing away, pops on out of the trenches, and starts kind of maneuvering around. Now, we were curious what NYXE was going to do. This is your top performing team after map 1. Started on that attacking side of things, now moving towards the defense. So you've got what? 2 Stingers, a D-Wolf, a Hat Claw, and they are just running the trench lines, literally.
Yeah, I think, you know, positioning and things you called out are very astute for the way they played in Point E. I guess leading up to Point E, they just ran the trenches as fast as humanly possible and just shot their guns better because they are just flying around this map, paying no mind for any true and clear strategy as a squad. They're just looking for kills. They're looking to weed out their opponents. If there's less, it's simple map, Tiff. If there's less numbers, there's less people to deal with. If you have more numbers on the point, you can't lose the point. It's pretty easy to get a hold of what's happening here. They're just doing it in a pretty dynamic and aggressive fashion.
I mean, this is what you want out of a Stinger, right? You can continuously self-heal, take a kill, get back straight into it, immediately pick up your teammates.
Sure.
But okay, sure, beat them down, get aggressive with that, stay inside the bunkers themselves. I think we've seen this before.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've seen this before in a show match. In esports, to have somebody pick Saniva might be a first. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it makes a ton of sense trying to guard HQ on trench lines. I mean, these tiny little CQB areas, like, what are they gonna do? Shoot your toes and hope you die before they get shot by your teammates who are playing with you? This is actually a really good strategy to be able to hold this point. I'm loving this from Bear. We'll see if it continues to pay off, but right now they're holding B2 with ease.
And sometimes you just need a little menace. You just need a menace on the inside. So we're just gonna hang here, witness this, because I'm ready to see more blast shield beatdowns.
Yeah, and the fact that they're holding B2 with ease, and you've got a Saniva under B1 also holding. The attackers have no foothold right now. Looks like they're finally getting involved on B2, but golly, NYXE playing around these burnt trees so well, picking up triples off into the distance with a Bison, and we take those.
Oh, health real low here. Could pick this up, and no, gonna get caught out. That's to be expected, though. That was a valiant effort, but I mean, we're pushing with literally 15 across the way. So you get a nice free cam, the overview of things. You can see Bear's team just situated underneath B1. Wins a nice fight on that trench. Takes a lot of health damage, but that's okay. The regen will be coming in shortly.
And again, this is what I was talking about. The fact that the attackers finally have taken B2, now they can begin to figure out what the heck do we do about Bear Jolf? I mean, the guy just Saniva in the trenches under B1. I mean, we've got to have massive amount of numbers to get in there and have an actual advantage over him. So we'll see what they do as their defense. NYXE is just crushing on this point, winning 1v2s, 1v3s. Like, they're truly one-man army across the board, but I still am just pulled to that Bear squad and what they've been able to do under B1 right now to make B1 finally an issue, but still alive. And eventually, you gotta deal with this guy.
No, you don't deal with him. You don't even try. Jolf is the actual menace. The blast shield beatdowns that I asked for in particular. Not only that, but on the outskirts of the bunker, you can use that razor wire to create the extra trap. Why are we just seeing this?
What kind of Discord tech am I watching? I mean, this is something he pulled out. He drew this up in a book somewhere and said, watch me try this. Holy cow, let's take a quick look back at this.
1.
How many kills is this?
2.
They're just running at him.
3.
What is going on, Jolf? My new Goj MVP. This is ridiculous.
This is one of those clips that you take with you for the rest of your life because you do see the enemy opposition just trying to pick people up on the rescues right in front of him. He's like, whatever, I'll just beat you down too. I don't care.
Hey, it worked out great for him. They still have control over B1. And any second where there's a moment where, look, I mean, the tank's getting involved. All right, there's a Saniva down there. Can I drive the tank into the bunker? Well, not anymore. Tank's gonzo ball. It looks like the defense has set up a vehicle of their own. And it looks like the attackers have some ground, but who needs a tank when you've got Bear Jolf?
Objective Bravo 2 secure.
Why is this Saniva more like Sung Jin Woo than anything I've ever seen? Like, look at him. He's gonna find him. He's gonna go for it. He just keeps leveling up.
This is unbelievable. He is inevitable. Bear Jolf is unstoppable right now. And they still can't take B1 because of this man right here. Here's the actual problem with this. You know what's even crazier? Is not only is he able to hold B1 and stay alive, he's also able to stay alive long enough to get out of combat and allow his squad mates to spawn on him. Look how many players are now on this point able to hold it down with ease because Bear Jolf is able to hold it down by himself. This is unbelievable.
Bear Jolf MVP? Do we have the Goj MVP of match number 2? The
Absolutely.
unofficial?
I don't even care what happens to the rest of this map. That is brilliant. And it's working perfectly. Look at this. B1 completely swarmed. I think the rest of the team now knows, yo, wait a minute. We've got an absolute goat here inside this point. We can't lose. Lock in.
I just am smiling as I witness this. Just what do you do? NYXE on your screen, right? Like, what are we gonna do to try and change things up? Because they're the team that's spawning all around Bear Jolf. They don't actually have to extend on out. They are that first line that we're witnessing and trying to whittle the numbers down of the attacking side before Bear Jolf has said something about it. But look at the vehicle. Like, I'm telling you, this is what they're trying to bring into it.
First line, last line, back line, Bear Jolf. Inevitable. Bear Jolf in 2. I don't even need 5. B1 under absolute terror from the attacks. Bear Jolf, will he finally fall? Yes. Opens up his back to his opponent and finally gets cut down. No tank in the way, just a riot shield and a single man. But Bear Jolf finally gets cut down, and in the meantime, the defense is fine. You take our bear, we take back B2. We are not done yet. This is unbelievable. And we're finally getting to a position now where I can confidently say the defense is going to see some real value out of B1 and B2 right now.
It's bad that my heart is broken to see such a legend fall, but even gods must bleed at some point.
The references you pull on broadcast sometimes, Tiff, I just get completely lost on me, but I know our audience at home loves them. So just please keep doing you and keep saying things that I truly don't understand.
It's totally fine, Goj. We'll recover. But for little Kano here on the screen, Gulag Company representing Team Bravo. Man, on the attacking side of things, these are the kind of people that were on the other side of Bear Jolf.
Yeah, we gotta give a little bit of love to our attackers here finally, getting a little bit of some runway to work with on B1 and B2. They've taken B1. They're not gonna let go of B1, trust me. I certainly wouldn't. Don't let that guy back into this bunker or we are going to lose this tournament.
No, we stay. We stay. No, not when someone's trying to make a play, but the trade out was nicely acquired there for Doug Zera. On the Stinger, will self-heal in progress. UCQ in hand, and well, look. Sure, we may be losing a little, and we have to recap it, but it's totally fine. Down to just over 200 lives here. We knew B1, B2 was going to be just like this.
Yeah, give our attackers a bit of love. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from this Gulag Company team. They've done a great job throughout the course of the last map and into this one to try to figure out, well, how do I deal with all of the problems in front of me? And one of those... It's the man, the myth, legend himself, Bear Jolf. If anybody's going to overcome Bear Jolf, it's going to be Gulag Company. They certainly have done a great job this event, is what I was saying, but I got distracted by the riot shield. I'm not going to lie.
Well, was it the riot shield or was it the razor wire that is going to be such an absolute distraction when you try to come in from that hole in top of the bunker? And you're going to see people looking to filter through it. But this time, we understood the assignment. We cannot let Bear Jolf last that long on an interior side of things with his blast shield.
Well, it's what we saw last time, too. Let's look at the attack and what they're doing to find success right now. They're bringing this tank into the mix and saying, well, we're willing to forfeit this vehicle and the rest of our vehicles in order to actually secure points. They're trying to keep it alive. They're able to use some of the repairs that are built into the tank and likely have some engineers near it. They need to keep these vehicles for later points. The problem is they got to get to those later points. So now you see 3 vehicles from the side of the attack. I can only imagine we're going to see some value out of all 3 of these here shortly. It looks like NYXE is trying to play spoiler some of them, but as doesn't really have the, you know, running Luna to try to take out a vehicle, probably not going to work out for you. Try to switch over to some of those magnetic bombs or maybe an AT4 or something like that. I think our attack will find some success here shortly if the defense allows these vehicles to stay alive.
He's trying to make a play there. Gets one, unfortunately can't get the second, and, well, he's back. Frag grenades being thrown on in. So I love that, right? But unfortunately, we're just going to hold this shield up and just take people down. You want to push? Okay, we'll hit the ground. Next up. But this is what you do. As soon as you know Bear Dolph, you make that call out to everyone that's around you, right? And then you just flood the scene and try to get behind him. And this is where some of those operators that have frag grenades can be beneficial, right? Like Luna does have that GE2 frag grenade that you could kind of thread behind that Saniva.
Yeah. Well, and I think that was the funny thing was like there was a moment there, and obviously our attackers, as expected, were able to use the 3 vehicles at their disposal to get up onto the point, cause enough chaos to finally take it. But this is what we asked them to do. The defense, we said, hey, you got to hold as long as you can. If you can spin some of their lives on B1 and B2 to where they're not coming in, max lives onto point D, you're going to have a pretty good chance to win this thing. And so overall, the defense was able to do a really good job. We didn't think they would win on B1, B2, but you needed to deplete some of those lives so they're not running in feeling like they can conquer the world with every life imaginable on their side. So very well done. Another key factor here is how long can you hold C? Usually not very long. Usually you're going to pick up 80 to 100 lives here. So you'd like to hold it for at least 50 or so to make sure they're coming in with around less than 300. And that will probably dramatically improve your chances of winning point E.
Good comms, and I love that we're starting the switch off, right? No longer do we have the bunkers and the trenches, so Jolf here is going to switch on over to Aluru. So staying inside that engineer class, knowing that these tanks and vehicles will be detrimental to their health on these later sectors. So switching, keeping the engineer, but a different vibe.
And here's a quick look at the attacker line coming up from down below on the low ground up into the village. Now, again, point C here, village, is one that usually falls quickly. One of the things that we've seen work well for the attackers is to get these tanks up into the mix, even if they're still from a distance, and start blowing up some of these buildings. Most of these buildings have destructible environment on them, so you can actually level them and reduce the amount of cover that the defense can hold so that you can get involved very quickly with your ground troops. The other big thing, as always, is our strategic team beacons and our respawn beacons to get our players respawning right up next to the village and not having to run a sizable way.
Good shouts. We check in here with Yabba Dabba Doo. See how they're going to be working around this, but getting picked apart as players are just looking to hold down inside the building. Team Bravo trying to maximize resources and go into E with as many lives as humanly possible. Oh, Brendan. Oh, that angle.
Nice shots over the top, but what are you going to do about a vehicle in your face? I don't know. NYXE trying to hold on to a semblance of defense here. Again, our top fraggers by a massive margin and just caught reloading at the wrong time. I don't know what their scoreline's going to look like here, Tiff, at the end of this one. Obviously doing a sizable amount of work on the defensive side, but it doesn't seem like they're getting as much value on the defense as they were on the attack. Having to set up in more stationary positions for at least the most part here in B1 and B2 and C. Be curious what they're going to be able to do on E in particular and get back into the mix of kind of swinging around and picking up triples along the way.
I didn't even see the pixel of health that player had when he went prone from NYXE to hit the regen. Like, can we just talk about that? That timing is brilliant. Well, Brendan says, all right, fine. I'm going to get on in here. Ooh, good answer back. Okay. Keep that moving. Finds one. Make it 2. Can we take a 3 out of it? No, but we're going to destroy some of those equipments on the ground. Make sure none of that's going to be lurking amok. But it's true, like seeing NYXE on the attacking side in map number 1 was really wild, but watching them anchor down and work around the certain sector PO that they have just said, this is gonna be like my area and I'm gonna clean it out and go on a tear.
Yeah, I mean, picking up these kills here is going to be good for our side quest. Unfortunately, point C has fallen. And now that we're moving into point D1 and D2, 336 lives, not what you'd love to see. But we've got to remember the last map, the last match we just watched, it was 400 lives for the attacker moving into D1 and D2. 65 lives is a difference maker. That could win and lose you games. Point, in fact, is our last map of 32 lives remaining. I mean, this could be the difference between winning and losing as the attacking squad is having 400 lives here or 330. So I'll be curious to see what the map looks like at the end of this one as our teams are setting up and ready as our attackers come pushing forward. Immediately Jolf in trouble. But again, like you said, swapping over to Aluru here, you can build your own cover. You can also fire back at some of these tanks.
Well, look at Cepheus. He was like, all right, cool. If you're going to have some fun with Saniva, maybe I will also. So keep tabs, see if they are going to keep locking in the Saniva. So Saniva, Aluru, Stinger, and D-Wolf. A pretty interesting composition here for D.
I agree. I think it's a good one. I mean, you can create your own cover, and one of the critiques we have about this space and how to hold it is the lack of cover at Lumberyard, which is going to be D1. Artillery position, a little bit more to work with, but Lumberyard's so open that vehicles find a ton of value there. Being wide out in the open, you can just kind of spray and pray some of those artillery shells into Lumberyard, and you're probably going to pick up a couple.
Ooh, okay, NYXE getting picked apart here. Over to check in with Bear +1, Gallard on your screen.
Jeez.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, getting involved and just ran out of ammo, unfortunately, but so far so good for the defense. Almost pulled him up and over cover as it looks like NYXE is getting in on the fun of using some Saniva here on D1, D2.
We asked for some adaptations, and I'm okay with all of that. From a distance, a couple hit markers, not going to get the actual kill itself, but just kind of playing here, giving the call outs, giving information to the opposing side of things. Maybe not as fun as sitting in a bunker as Saniva there for Jolf, but we're still having a good time.
Well, I'm taking a look at our teams here with Team Alpha, who, again, was on the attacking last time, now on the defense. And one of the things I'm noticing is, again, tanks being prolific on this point, whether it's for the defense or the attack. I'm taking a look at our kill feed. I'm seeing Matt Freeze, I believe, from InmortalS in the tank right now. He's one of our top slayers as well. One of the only players to kind of rival the NYXE squad in terms of raw slaying power. Be curious to know if he did it a lot in vehicles last time, or if this is kind of his new spot on the defensive side, but even still, finding a ton of value on it, not only in kill feed, but you also see BTO Burt picking up some kills in the tank. He's going to be one of our operators as well that's driving our vehicles around. We'll see if they're going to be able to hold on to him for very long.
No, I will go ahead and agree with you on Matt Freeze. That was one of the players that did lock into a tank, especially starting in D and then carrying on through E to roam the perimeter and try to pick people up on that sector. So very much same normal. However, when you talk about the OGs having vehicles, that's going to be on the attacking side of things, and they're looking to be opening it up.
Yeah.
But to take down NYXE on the defense like this right now?
Oh, see you later. WAG is not easily taken down, but yeah, so I'm wondering if we're going to see Matt Freeze versus BTO Burt here, vehicle on vehicle warfare here shortly. But we've got a couple folks on the defensive vehicles, and there's BTO, I believe. Burt down on the low ground with the vehicle, actually in cover away from these two defensive vehicles, which is good for him because the vehicle's still up. Bad for his team. I mean, D1 and D2 haven't been touched in a while. And a reminder, they came with 330. It's been 80 lives, and D1 and D2 are fully healthy from the defense.
That's a lot. That's tough, mind you. This is what it'd be about that same time that we started to see D falling, right? Because especially if you're only going to get around that 100 tickets, if we go in with 350 towards E, will that be enough? It came down to 36 tickets left at the end of E in match 1.
Objective Delta 1 cleared.
Finally, the attackers have found some foothold, and they capitalized on it. D1 falling very quickly. Little Cano, the Gulag company, getting quite aggressive here on the attack and was going to try to throw out some smoke for his team and unfortunately gets cut down in the process. So we swing to Doug Zero's perspective, who's got a great angle to pick up 1, 2, 3, even more, but just couldn't quite find them through the smoke. That visual cover is so powerful just because of the way the bodies can stack up on the other side. It allows you to relocate quickly, but you can't shoot through it very often unless you get a Luna.
Ooh. Did enjoy the spray and pray though, but Gallard here from Bear +1. You can see NYXE and Bear squad kind of working together, playing around that, which is really respectable there for Team Alpha and could have led to them having a lot of success on App 1, which we did talk about those two rosters in particular when it came to E. So maybe this is where a lot of that synergy started for them.
Yeah, and you do see Siren is the other player that's from NYXE that's up in the lav up to the top right, kind of anchoring with this tank and holding both of these points. If the attackers can't deal with these two vehicles, which right now they can't even kind of touch them, I think it's going to be very difficult for them to get involved. And I think Bear knows that. Look at this. The defense perfectly set up with no one harrying them on high ground. The enemy calls in a vehicle to try to combat this lav and this tank, and it gets shut down, shot down, and obliterated before he can even land.
Yeah, that's what you want to have happen on your squad when you say destroy the vehicles the moment you see them. That's a perfect situation coming to life, and you can see another one looking to deploy here. But UTP on the Team Alpha side of things. Can we hold on? Because we are so far, but man, has it been tough.
Yeah, I mean, this is utter domination from the side of the defense. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the attackers have barely gained any ground at all and are now completely stopped and pushed not only off the points, but back towards their spawn. I mean, this is a perfect defensive line setup. And right now, it's kind of like a what do you do? I mean, you're going to need a massive effort like this. Look at our attackers now. I love this shot. They know they just can't sit here and try to trade blows with the defense with the way the defense is set up. So every single player, including now the tank, I think, now pushing up to D1, all pushing to D2. And the answer to that, the call and response, our first guided missile of the map. Let's see where it lands and see if it gets any value. Look at that. D2 is fully scrammed. Nobody's on it anymore because the guided missile is going straight for it. So a bit of reprieve for the defense to say, okay, they're not capping it right now. The attackers all rushed back in after the missile, but it was enough of breathing room for the defense to actually catch up and fight for the point. And they've pushed the attackers off. So as much as we love to see guided missile kills, sometimes it's a zoning technique here, Tiff.
It really is. It really is. But I just don't think they got enough ground on the attacking side that they were looking for based off that investment.
Yeah, no, it is really well done from the defense to call in the missile to just zone off the only push the attackers have had in, I don't know, 5 minutes. I mean, we're at 150 lives remaining. It's enough to take these points, sure, but you're going to be really low on numbers once you start pushing towards the last point. And that's even saying if you can even get these points. Right now the attackers fully split up. I see 5 on screen immediately cut down to 3 looking at D2, trying to just at least show some semblance of a threat over to D2 so that defense will pull off D1 and the main force can push for it. But let's see what they're able to do.
All right. Through the smoke, through the hit markers, through the hip fires, MP7 has to hit the reload. I like how we get turned around for a second. We've got to avoid all the chaos that's coming through. Benefits of being 3 stingers and a hat claw on 1 solo squad.
That's exactly right. Well, we can see finally chinks in the armor for the defensive side. Look at that. The lav very weak. Actually, it might be the tank on the other side. I can't quite tell. But either way, very weak and having to back off. Now, there's their tank. The lav was down. It looks like it's still down to about 15% HP. But it's staying involved. Can I get some more action? Can I get some more kills? Looks like we've got an engineer, so why not heal us up a little bit? Yo, chill. Stop moving. I gotta heal you.
Let me use my torch, my guy. My lord, I am trying my best here. The engineers are flocking Ulurus 3 deep on FourFun Esports, trying to keep these lives alive.
Well, it's so valuable, and it's such a massive piece to the equation of how do you win warfare. we all know vehicles are powerful, but it's not that they are insanely tanky necessarily. You know, obviously tank pun pending there, but they are really strong. They can take a lot of hits. But a couple well-placed AT-4s, that thing is out of here. So what do? When you see people with missiles, you bring out the engineers and you keep these things alive. Unfortunately, a little too aggressive. Down goes the Lav, and the defense is down to just a tank. And that is an opening that was desperately needed by the attackers, as it looks like SN4 has swapped over to a sniper rifle.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's dial on them a little bit from the far side. I mean, it's a great way to kind of look over the top of Lumber.
Come back. Rasta, on your feet. Keep eyes on out, especially to the free cam, so we can see where everything is being invested. We're going to get 3 out of that. Kind of tough, but still worth.
Yeah, the attacker is getting cut down. There is a defensive guided missile taking down Zveri 09, who are going to be on your attacking side this time around. So a little bit of a push thwarted, but finally the attackers have some value on D1 right now. Trying to figure out how to swing over to D2. It could be their missile coming in. Could be the defenses. We'll all watch and see who goes down, if anyone. Oh, yeah, that was right on top of Nippon. That's from Siren with NYXE.
Nice job, but 65 lives. And just like that, a few more have gone. This is the kind of call-ins that we were seeing on E happening on D1, D2. That should just go to show you what this defense for Alpha has been like, right?
Another guided missile that doesn't find very much value, but potentially zones off the point for some quick breathing room. The attackers have an advantage on D2, but quickly in comes a tank, and down goes the attack. It's simple math yet again. The defense doing everything in their power to stop the game right here. And frankly, one of the reasons they really want to is they want to try to put this thing away. The defense obviously winning last map. They want to go 2-0, and they want to do it with the team not even getting to the last point. It won't be game, set, match, but it'll look really good. Storeskin's picking up a double there against NYXE. The attacker is picking up 2.
Ooh, okay, Gallard. Okay, that's how you make a statement. That's exactly what you want. That's going to be Bear +1 from Team Alpha. Throwing down and a little bit of a, hey, you want to do something like that? I'll call in my own. Fair.
Yeah, it's hilarious because it was like, oh, well, the attackers got 2. How about 7 from Gulag? And a continued barrage of guided missiles, because it's like, what are you going to save them for? There's only 30 lives remaining. You can't save them for E. And good grief, SN4RFX, say the full name. That man just got paid. That was I think probably 8, I want to say, with that guided missile for the side of the defense. I can only imagine the defense is going to win this thing. Holy cow.
I mean, keep an eye on those lives. 18 left. And NYXE goes big alongside Bear. I love that each sector really was allowing us to look into Team Alpha and the individual squads and the cohesion, because they all had their moments.
Yeah, they did. And Mirudos making a late push here for the attackers. Another giant guided missile. Here's the thing. You can dodge missiles all day long, but when they just keep coming, eventually you're going to make a mistake and you're going to get picked up by one. And half the team just got picked up by Mirudos. A great play. I just think it's too little too late here, Tiff. Frankly, picked up, I think, all of the Bear squad. But they've got to capture both these points with a single 2 lives remaining. And it might go into potential overtime since they've got objective control over both. But, like, is it going to even be enough? Can the defense rally back? It doesn't look like it. Look at our overhead cam.
Oh, we need to be flawless. We need flawless. We're not going to get it. Team Alpha on the defense goes.
Yeah, you know, I gotta say, Team Alpha, they won on the attack, and they looked dominant up until the last point, and then it took them over 300 lives to get the win. So I was like, okay, these are pretty evenly balanced, but to be able to swap to defense and hold that aggressively, hold on D1, D2, set up near perfectly, survive 17 guided missiles, and still come out on top. Job well done. 2 up, 2 down. I don't know that we'll see another clean sweep, but It's possible. Let's take a quick look back at some of the highlights from that one. I can remember several. This was a very fun map to watch with, frankly, some new strategies from some of our teams. Our top fragging team from our first map looked pretty strong as well, but there was a new team that we watched for a majority of especially B1 and B2. And of course, I'm talking about Bear Jolf and the entire Bear team playing well around NYXE to hold this point as long as possible. And one of the reasons that there were just not enough lives to take D1 and D2 for the attacking team.
There's a lot of things that I was asking, and I was like, what are you going to do when you kind of switch on over to defense here, especially on trench lines? What does that look like? And well, I was so happy that this particular clip to start us off, this is going to cause nightmares for so many people when it comes to the Delta Force Global League.
Yeah, I want to say that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe picked up with the shield. And the funny thing is, like, the whole value coming from Bear Jolf here isn't just getting kills with the shield. Obviously, that's cool. This is actually not that difficult of a thing to break if you have enough frag grenades and people are coordinated enough. The real issue is people just kept running over and over again, single-handedly trying to fight him, and you're just going to lose. And because of that, it actually held these points for such a dramatic amount of time that the lives going into C and then into D were so much lower than the opposite in the first map.
They were just like, at this point, it's personal. I'm going to single-handedly be the one that cuts down the Bear Jolf.
Yeah, I mean, they finally got him, and they finally were able to push through, made it through C quite quickly as expected. And we got to this point where we're like, okay, 65 lives difference between map 1 to map 2 for our attackers. I think it's a tall task ahead of our attack to win. I didn't expect the defense to hold this well through D1 and D2. And frankly, I think most of it was because of these vehicles. They were able to hold the vehicles well, keep them at a distance, but still be incredibly valuable for the team. It was Silent there from NYXE, who's one of the top players in map 1 on the defense this time around, still seeing a lot of value. And then obviously some great guided missiles to, you know, carve up the defense, take down some of the attack. And there were some absolute bangers that came in from on high, and one of those, Gulag there from Bear, able to pick up, I think, 6 or 7. And then there was another one that came in, and I think we'll see it here shortly, that I think was around 8. So some massive moments, and then, of course, a couple of kills here and there, Tiff, but overall, great replays.
Yeah, that was huge. Honestly, that was a really fun trench lines to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. NA Warfare has just been exceptional.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think one of my favorite parts about that map is that it felt like different. I mean, we saw 4 maps in EU. We've now been through 2, and every map we're getting something a little bit different with the way these teams are playing. Chemistry building, power surmounting. It is now 2-0 for the side of Team Alpha as they move back to attack and we move to cracked. Will that momentum continue, or will we see a shift of tides to the side of Team Bravo? Try to rally back and tie this thing up. Folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to head to a very short break, and while we do, get some water, refresh, get back into the mix, because it's crack time here shortly, and it's going to get real mixy.
Find the terminal.
Your compatibility really impressed me.
Billy de Montbel. Call sign NYXE, assault operator. Trained by Havoc, NYXE is a seasoned mercenary with rich experience. As a man of few words who prefers to operate independently, his collaboration with GTI is a product of necessity rather than a choice. Specializing in information disruption with proficiency in various combat techniques, he excels in stealth operations. Like a cold dagger, he exposes vulnerabilities in enemy defenses to strike at their throats. NYXE's tactical equipment, Silent Assault, consists of an information jammer and sonic jammer. When activated, the disruptors emit sonic interference waves, minimizing NYXE's sound propagation and the alert range of enemies. While this interference is in effect, enemy recon tools are unable to pinpoint NYXE's exact location.
Allied forces are engaging at objective Bravo.
back to the Delta Force Global League Season 1 NA Warfare Finals is where you find yourselves, and it's a great place to be because we are halfway through this competition, and right now we've got a team with 2 wins. Let's take a look at the scores from that last match and see how all of our teams did. You won't see probably as high of kill tallies because the game was frankly quite a bit shorter. Team Alpha dominating in that second one, and well, as per the usual, Siren at the top, 78 total kills here, Tiff.
Yeah, I'm just quite impressed, right? Broke triple digits in game number 1 and doubles down with a 78. But as you kind of look around, we always know that there are those side objectives, and you're going to be tallying the number of rescues completed throughout all matches. And as I peruse, if I'm not mistaken, I think Bunny in 5th place over there with UTP on Team Alpha was one of the players that had a large majority. You can also see a member of Bear Plus One dropping 63 rescues, which is massive to be able to preserve. And honestly, probably why they found so much success on that defense in particular.
Yeah, you know, that's a great shout. I've been paying attention to this kill category because we're seeing crazy numbers. Even compared to EU, these are wild. I mean, I'm looking over even on our losing side with Team Bravo. Doug Zero is crushing it with Gulag Company. All of Gulag Company looking very strong over there from Team Bravo. Lil Cano as our top scorer, but then you see Doug Zero there and Shoes there in Gulag Company. All 3 of their 4 up inside the top 4, so very well done. But yeah, you're looking at rescues. I see 61 on the side of Team Bravo with Naponk, so I think it'll be a race to the finish line for top medic and all of our rescues. But here's a look at our overall scores and overall kills, and it is wow, these are some crazy score lines. And I think you can tell obviously which teams are prioritizing what, because yeah, we see about a 50,000 point spread between NYXE and Bear Plus One, our top 2 squads for the side of Team Alpha. But look at the kills differential, and that's one of the things that we're seeing from NYXE that is so valuable for this Team Alpha, is they are just slaying out. Now, compared to Team Bravo here, Tiff, obviously Gulag Company had some strong showings, but not the top slayers on the side of Team Bravo.
Definitely not, but here's the deal. You were there with me just a couple of hours ago over in Europe Warfare, right? Do you remember what the MVP squad scoreline was after 4 games? 380,000.
Woof. Yeah, we are cooking towards that after 2. That's actually wild.
That's kind of what I'm saying here as I'm looking at not only Team Alpha, but Team Bravo. You mentioned it, Gulag Company, 254K. That's massive. Mirudos, Sarados, they're with the 579 amount of kills. So it's not like they're just kind of falling over. They're putting up a really substantial fight. And I hope that when we move on to our final 2 maps, something can come together and maybe they'll just find the ability to go 2-2 and make NA Warfare just pure chaos.
Well, if history is going to repeat itself, and we are headed to Cracked, so it will. As a reminder, Cracked doesn't have all the way up to point E. It doesn't have that D1, D2. It only has 3 technical sectors, okay? So it's going to be A, B, C in Cracked. Now, the thing we know about Cracked is that it is very difficult to win from the attacker side if you don't coordinate perfectly. And again, some of these teams do know each other, and they've built up chemistry over the last couple maps, but I don't know that they have a perfect execution of a 20-man army yet. And so one of the things I'll be looking out for is which side is going to do a better job on attack if they too do trade defenses based on the way these teams are balanced right now. But I don't know, we could see what we saw in EU, which was one team sweep all the way through. That is still a possibility. And in EU is Team Bravo, this time Team Alpha leading the charge for that. If they wipe and get a double back-to-back win again and see another 4-0 in Warfare, that would be insanely surprising to me.
It really would, but I think that you said the key word there. It was that synergy that you were talking about specifically on Team Alpha. I know at the top of the show, I was talking a lot about kind of the InmortalS and Bear Plus One and how some of those individual squad members have played with the creators and like all of the streamers, the esports competitors on the opposing squads, which allows them to already have chemistry and know how they play. But then just a couple days ago, NYXE was almost testing in our show matches and showcasing what they could do underneath some more like fun rule sets, right? Then you see them in an esports arena and I'm like, my God, like NYXE is just different.
Yeah, I was really liking what I'm seeing from a lot of these teams. I want to shout out the NYXE. I think it was a great shout. They're doing really well today. Matt Freeze was doing great, obviously, inside of vehicles. Cracked is an interesting one because vehicles still play a major piece in this one. And that first point with Ashwita Village, point A, is almost a complete mute point. I mean, I don't think we saw anybody from the defensive side hold that point in Europe for longer than, I don't know, 2 minutes maybe. And so you're really looking at how do we hold B1 and B2 effectively. That's going to be your slums and your temporary command HQ. I'm going to be paying attention to how are they going to protect the slums very well. The HQ is a little bit isolated. It's got some cover on the inside, and then everything else is massive, wide open sight lines where you could probably get sniped, run over by a vehicle or anything in between. Whereas in the slums, it's going to be a lot more CQB inside of the alleyways. Now, one of the things that we saw work really well in Europe that I'm expecting to see this time around is actually the trading of those points. Rather than trying to hold both of them perfectly, anytime the attackers set up an attack on either of them, you just swing to the other point, because you truly do have to kind of mount an entire 20-man offense to take either of these points. So it's very difficult to take both. And one of the ways you're going to be able to do that is if you can get a vehicle on the map.
That's true. And we did see a lot of vehicles over in Europe Warfare, and the majority, especially when we had that interview at the end with one of the squads from the winning side of things, they had been practicing specifically what they learned from the online qualifiers and how to counteract that. And it all fell on the hands of engineers and when vehicles came into play and positioning themselves so that they could be firing consistently into the courtyards, more specifically on B1 and B2.
Yeah, well, our players are getting ready to drop into Cracked here shortly, and it's been fun to kind of mentally track some of our side objectives. I want to remind everybody those are still going on. So yes, we are playing for the win. It is all about just the map win. Everything else almost doesn't matter if you want to win as a squad and win as a team of 20. Is it going to be Team Alpha, Team Bravo? I don't know yet, but our side objectives, looking at top medic, top slayer, and then of course our MVP squad, which is going to be scores. Let's take a look at that prizing one more time before we jump into Cracked. We are past the halfway point. And some teams, some individuals are well on their way. We've got tons of money exchanging hands, whether it's $4,000 for the winning team or $500 for the MVP squad. It's possible. 300 kills might get you to most kills, but based on the leaderboard we're seeing right now, that's not the case. NYXE way up there, but individually, the most kills on the day will win $300, and then individually, the most rescues will be our top medic and win $300 as well, Tiff.
That's kind of crazy. I'm like, what are going to be the amount of kills that we witness here to get most kills? That $300 is massive for a player that comes through and has that, but dang. NYXE looking like top tier for potential candidates on that MVP squad and most kills, but honestly, it's not over. It's not over yet. We have 2 maps of Crack to go, and we're going to be returning back to Team Alpha on the attacking side of things.
Well, production always delivers when I ask questions, and I am getting word that Siren from NYXE is already at 235 kills after 2 games. Now, again, you're not going to see that amount in Cracked because the games are usually much shorter on Cracked, but you're probably going to see numbers, I guess, in the next 2. There's a possibility Siren by himself could get up over 400 if they can keep up the pace. Who knows? Somebody could come ringing the doorbell, though, and all of a sudden take that title from him and win some extra cash. I'm excited to see what the players decide to do and what the strategies are in Crack. So let's hop into the map, see what these teams are able to do. And as a reminder, Team Alpha back on the attack to start things off.
Oh, all right. Let's get in there. UTP on your screen. So we'll start with their squad in particular as we look to go straight towards A. Now, granted, Ghosh had already said it earlier on. We typically saw this held for maybe 2 to 3 minutes for the attacking side of things because they're easily able to take it. The real long hold for the defense is going to be when we get over to temporary command HQ and slum.
Yeah, and you can see our defense trying to set up around A quickly, but they know where they really need to defend is going to be B. We'll see what they're able to do. I mean, I'd be curious to watch if a team can truly hold this first point, but you can see how close our attackers are respawning here, moving to point A. It is basically right on top of it. So unless our defense is just the stone wall itself, they're going to find themselves in a bit of hurt here just in a moment's notice. It's just kind of a matter of time.
Do you think we'll see a member of Team Bravo on defense at some point throughout one of these Cracked matches launch into Saniva and just be a menace because of what Bear +1 did to them last map?
I don't know. I mean, maybe. I think Saniva's a great operator. I think in Warfare can find a lot of value. I think there's kind of a niche situation in trench lines in B1 and B2 where you get the value that you're looking for out of that operator. Whereas on points like this, especially just the map cracked in general, I'm looking at a lot more stingers. I'm looking at some hat claws, maybe a Viren, but definitely Lunas to try to make some plays through some smoke to help out your team with information. And so you're seeing quite a bit of stingers yet again. It's looking like our NYXE squad that's on our screen right now is running triple stinger, and then I believe D-Wolf as their fourth. So, and it looks like actually Sirens just swapped over to Luna. So kind of right on the money there for our top teams.
Ooh, all right. Well, keep your eyes on this squad. This team has so many kills. Like we were saying, Siren at 235 just after the first 2 games and looking to double down and get even more. But just playing off these high grounds and constantly keeping your head on a swivel will allow you to find success. But of course, if you poke too many bears, they're going to take you down.
Yeah, definitely don't poke the bears. They tend to come back with a fury. But Bear plus ones have been doing a great job today. I'm getting from production that Bear Labat is one of the top medics of the day thus far, inside the top 5 overall for our medics, getting a ton of revives. I actually saw Labat in chat that said, I taught Jolf everything he knows. So keep that in mind for all of you Bear Jolf fans after today. Labat, he taught him. All right, so learn from Labat and you become a champion.
Noted. Noted. I'm actually going to write that down on my notebook right now because I really do want to become a champion at some point in my life.
Well, I don't want to write the story yet, but I will say Alpha looking like the champions today. So far, though, Alpha attacking yet again and actually finding a bit of trouble here at point A. Like, as much as I want to laugh about this point, and it feels sometimes so easy to grab, sometimes the defense, they're just doing a really good job of trying to keep everybody up and get back involved. And it looks like Bear's trying to do the same of like, okay, whoa, we're not able to take this as fast as we want. Get my troops back into the mix. We don't need to wait on the respawn. Let's take this point. We got to move on. We can't waste this many lives on this one.
I mean, we just saw 3 rescues, and he was going for a 4th before being cut down right there. But Cepheus on the Luna. Has one frag grenade in pocket, gets picked apart from across the way, and you can just see, thanks to this free cam, just the pure standoff that we're getting. 4 players just there on the left rooftop. That's going to be Bear plus one's team. I saw some Gallard there, but NYXE a bit further back.
Stay calm and be
They're finally able to capture it. They get their lives back, and they're good to go. There was a moment there where I was like, wow, this is going really well for the defense. And then right as I speak it into existence, the caster curse becomes real, and see you later. We're going to move to B1, B2. 350 lives, feeling pretty comfortable. 15 seconds to retreat here, see where they're able to go.
Curious what NYXE, Rasta on your screen, where they'd like to set up, especially as we decide, do we want to go B1 first? Do we go B2 first? What is our major focus? Maybe getting the squad back together.
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on where the vehicles are out of the map. I'd love to take a quick look at that. And, well, there's one right flying in right next to us. I think you can kind of take over B1 a little bit easier if everybody pushes together because it's a lot more open air to work with once you get there. And I think the defense knows it. So they're going to try to hold down this position. And they've got a vehicle of their own. You can see the tank on the right-hand side with an anti-infantry gun as well, peppering this cross. The open air is nice if you can get across it quickly. It is a bad time if you get caught out in the open with little to no cover, especially with a tank on your back. So great job there from the defense to immediately dissuade the very first attack, find some stabilization, and hold these points.
Ooh, okay. Thought we were going to win that engagement. Apparently not, but this is what we're talking about. Magnetic bombs for days. Some Viren action coming through.
Huge fan of Viren, one of my favorite operators. Movement tech goes crazy, and magnetic bombs, rather, very valuable when it comes to taking out vehicles while still maintaining an operator that you can find value on in anti-infantry battles.
I don't feel like you can let him live on this rooftop. Quick rotation. Trying to cut people down, but I love that we're just kind of going to be calming this back to our teams. Like, what is going on? You know who else is going on right now? NYXE from Team Alpha. Matt Freeze has found himself a vehicle.
Yeah, this is kind of classic NYXE strategy. Play around the opponent's spawns to try to cut them down and lower the numbers so the rest of my team can succeed. Unfortunately, didn't get as much value playing the rooftops as he would have liked. We'll see.
Ooh, okay, Wag.
Objective Bravo 2 is out.
Some shots come through. Oh my god, that was not what I was expecting to happen there for WAG. Now Rasta, last alive for the NYXE, then we'll come back to the free cam. You can see the setups on the different points, but as we look towards Slum in particular, you do have Mirudos, Sarados deep into it.
Again, NYXE doing a great job of keeping people up. This is very quickly going to the way of the attackers. Trading out a few points, but also trading a lot of blows here for Rasta and co.
Ooh. Through the alleyway, someone wants to slide behind, climbs up on the fence, still keeping the pressure here onto Rasta. Time to hit a resupply.
Oh, come on.
And hits him with the flank before being cut down? Look.
I love it.
Little Cano from Gulag Company just really tried to make a play.
Well, Gulag Company is one of our top squads on the day. I know they haven't found a lot of success in terms of map wins, but if you start looking at overall score lines from a squad standpoint, they're way up there. Now, they need a win in order to secure some prize, but they're really crushing it for the side of Team Bravo, having an opportunity to hopefully help out their team and hopefully grab a win here in Cracked. But quick look overhead of where everybody's at. Obviously, our attackers swarmed onto B1, able to secure the point, and now trying to pressure for B2 shortly as the defense comes in to try to play spoiler. And one of the ways to play spoiler, NYXE, by the way, in the tank again. Matt Freeze is different in that thing. Yet again, finding his way to the tank, and yet again, finding a ton of value with it.
My man just lives in there. He understands the assignment. They know exactly what they need to be doing and their role on the squad in particular. NYXE, Rasta going for that cross range, but this time, you know, still locking it in, hitting the resupply. And then we come back. This is where you get to see. Look at Matt Freeze, bottom of your screen, playing around FourFun Esports.
Gulag Company there. Again, Bravo trying to find some success to defend here. And NYXE a problem with a tank on the map. Bear and Company. Bear +1. Finding more value on the point. Finding more score by fighting on the point. Trying to take B2 and then try to push back to B1 to close this thing out and force their way into the C points. It's a tall task, and this is what we always see when it comes to Cracked. A trading of points, exchanging of blows. It always happens, and how do you thwart it? How do you combat it? How do you grab both at the same time? It's going to come down to Matt Freeze.
M870 in hand. Okay, sure, you find someone at your door, but going through the alleyway itself, and you're going to need a bit more close range for that. But, you know, Jolf here. Stinger. Trying to be sneaky, which is quite respectful.
I mean, I'd be sneaking in too. But looks like the rest of the defense that was trying to hold the line here is not only getting peppered by Matt Freeze, but also getting jumped on by Labat, who is, again, one of our top medics today. He's trying to set up a good position for his team to potentially spawn on him onto B1 and retake this point for the attackers.
All right. Finally on board to actually see the evidence of what we've been witnessing with Matt Freeze briefly. At least you have the Alluru on your team to make sure that they have the torch. They're keeping that vehicle fresh and holding on to it while they're wreaking havoc.
And Matt's been in a vehicle in every single game thus far and found a lot of value with it, so be curious to see if he can continue to do so for the rest of this one, or if somebody will finally cut him down, especially when he's driving up onto the point and saying, you know, thank you very much, come and get some. I'm raking in the kills.
Oh, all right, Scary Davis. Car in hand, Shepherd through, and sometimes you bring a launcher and you just aim it straight down an alleyway through the smoke and pray it connects. You know, a lot of people have been hiding out in this vicinity, but for the OGs, man, good times.
Here's a quick look at the overhead cam. Matt Freeze still holding down B1 for the side of the attackers, is giving them a moment to push. This is exactly what we expected from them. If Matt in the tank and maybe one or two players can hold down B1, the rest of the team push B2, they can capture both of these points. Perfectly executed thus far. I love this perspective. You can see it from multiple angles, and you can see that the attackers are about to take B2. And yes, it's because of the team push. It's the team chemistry, but it's also because of NYXE, and it's also because of their ability to attack both points at once on the back of their tank on B1. Wow, well done.
We will restore all.
That was massive, and I love that you broke it down, especially with a bit of the free cam on the right-hand side of things. We had one player left from Mirudos, Sarados, that was trying so hard to get to B1 if they potentially could have. But with Matt Freeze and their team there to be able to cut them down, now we finally get to move on to military supply stash and office area, and maintaining the vehicles should allow us to completely break down that building and allow us a free entry in.
Yeah, I wouldn't say surprised. Team Alpha has been dominating today, so to see them make it onto C1 and C2 is not surprising, but I am still impressed what they've been able to execute on using their tank, and also having people around to keep people off the tank. I think is a key thing to continue to talk about. Engineers to heal, sure, but just generally cut down the Virens before they can drop the magnetic bombs on you. Cut down the D-Wolves before they can pull out the AT4s. And your tank is going to find a ton of value on the map. And that's exactly what's happening for the NYXE squad.
Ooh, okay. 1 HP and a dream there for Zveri 09 to be able to clutch up and take 2 down. Back to NYXE with a nice brief check-in with them. Still lurking from above. So, like, sometimes it's hard to remember to look up, but every time we jump on board with a member of NYXE on a roof, they get cut down right after.
That's a good shot. Continue to check in with the squad for good reason. One of the top teams today by a pretty sizable margin. Unfortunately, shotgun in hand. It's valuable, not quite that far. The range is pretty significantly short. Close range, it's unreal. Medium range, not so much. Back on with Bear +1 as they continue to hold down C1 and retake this point for the attack. Be able to move on their merry way and try to win this and end this competition. As a reminder, we are playing 4. If Alpha wins this map, they will win. We will still play our 4th map because of our side objectives, but they will win the main objective and win that $4,000. So a massive onus of responsibility right now on Team Bravo to hold this last point of C2.
I mean, you have FourFun Esports and Bear +1 all inside C1. It is done. It's dusted. Now we have to focus on getting C2 without losing C1. So who's going to be the main team that is like, I'm going straight on over to C2? And who are they going to leave behind to nestle in to deny C1 going back towards the defense?
And again, what worked well for him last time was put Matt Freeze in the supply stash, put Matt Freeze in the hangar here, send everybody else to C2 and you win. It's not that hard of a concept. Put a couple vehicles on and say good luck to your team and send them on their merry way. Wish them good luck, blow them a kiss, and see if they can take down their opponents, because it's worked now twice or 3 times. Might as well see if it can work again.
Well, hey, we're breaching it. NYXE says, okay, cool. You got the movement for Viren here. You want those close range engagements specifically as you're looking to go inside. Cuts another one down. Don't want to let that deter away. Here we go, working it down. We still have C1.
Nice double. S12K is so strong. Again, close range, but it's super, super strong. And, well, it looks like we've got a tank destroyer, I want to say, right up on the point, and it can destroy more than just tanks.
Tough part is, look at C1 halfway. It's going back the other side of things as we're making progress on a C2. We weren't able to stay held onto C1. Just a shrivel left as they're trying to get in there and see if they can hold on. Wait.
Yes.
Are we okay?
I don't
Are we
think so.
okay?
If I'm Team Bravo, I'm not okay. I'm in a blender right now. We can't find any sort of restabilization point. C1, C2 doesn't matter. Finally looking like gaining some value on C1, but the problem really is these vehicles. We know they're strong. We know how to take care of them. It just doesn't look like we can take the time to get rid of them because our infantry are slaughtering us. I mean, obviously all of our squad's doing a fantastic job, but our top fraggers are getting double, triple, quad kills and everything in between. We just don't have the numbers to take these vehicles down. And maybe the only other option is start playing a bit more, you know, launcher class, whether it's a Luru or maybe you're pulling out D-Wolf and try to take it out from afar. Getting close is basically impossible at this point.
Well, keep an eye on especially C2, because right now it's Yabba Dabba Doo looking to take it back from the attacking side of things. Because every time they go and grab one, they lose the other, and everyone went for the influx straight to C1 on the attacking side.
Yeah, the classic tug of war coming back. The question is, how long can Bravo hold on to that rope? I don't think very long, especially when I think Joel heard the cry of our excitement when he pulled out the Saniva and said, I'll do it again for you guys. Unfortunately, not enough room to work with. It's not quite the trenches, just a small room that had some nice value in, but not a ton.
Still brings a smile to my face at every point in time, but FourFun Esports on your screen here. Can't wait to see. I talked about it, right? Team Alpha nestling on in, looking to get back what they had originally lost. But in the same vein, the tug of war that you're mentioning is still happening. So we're going to have to at least leave maybe 4 to 5 people on here because this sector is so large. What does that look like? The influx of people all maneuvering, migrating straight towards C2.
Yeah, look at Matt Freeze come rolling up towards C2 and says, welcome to the party. I am the party. All of the troops moving with him. I'm really impressed with what Team Alpha is able to do, playing around their tanks. We're seeing Siren also picking up several inside of a tank. So overall, just a ton of value coming here from the attacking side of these vehicles. We've been saying it, we'll continue to say it, because it's the key to success right now. Go in, make some waves, and when you start getting in danger, fix it. One of the ways to fix that is picking up any of these beacons, picking up players, and maybe a small mistake there from Jolt, but even still, Bear +1, getting onto the point quickly.
Well, 219 lives remaining here for the attacking side of things, and Hempskate, don't let that happen to you. Don't let the data swarm come on through. There's the challenge, and oh, that is so unfortunate.
4F on your screen, and doing a pretty good job as well, trying to find some value on the map for FourFun Esports. But we'll continue to swap perspectives because, well, C2's in trouble, C1's in trouble. I'm in danger if I'm Team Bravo. And now, finally, we're getting into some of these more expensive credit redeems. We've got artillery strikes landing. We've also potentially got some guided missiles coming soon with how long this one's been going on. A longer map for a cracked with still 200 lives remaining. I don't know if the defense has the legs to hold this, as all of a sudden the tank no longer scared. It is on the point, making waves and trying to end it right here, right now.
Yeah, but you see what Yabba Dabba Doo's trying to do? They got Luna with the frag grenades, and we're like, all right, cool. It's not a magnetic bomb, but it's the best I've got right now, and we're using every resource available to put straight towards Matt Freeze.
Backs against the wall, skill on display. 2% and counting. Will it be it? Yes, Team Alpha are going to win the North American Warfare Finals with 3 wins. No, we are not done. We still have one more map to be played, but they have the winning record. They are 3-0 on the day, and frankly, they did it with a lot of style in that one. Over 200 lives still remaining at the end of it.
That's so impressive. You have to think back to our map 1 where Team Alpha originally attacking onto trench lines, right? It came down to the wire. We were sitting with 36 lives remaining onto E, and who knows, it could have went the other way as we get into some of these replays to see just how they have carried the momentum straight forward and have become this powerhouse of a 20-player unit.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and I think Team Alpha, they really have grown. I think that's the exact point you were making. Like, I've been impressed with their chemistry, the coordination, and obviously, like, there's some kind of apparent strategies that work really well in Warfare. One of them, of course, is just being able to slay out, and we've seen that from Team Alpha. They've had a lot more killing power on the map, and depleting of lives is how you win this thing. But one of the other things we've noticed is just the team chemistry to be able to play around their vehicles well. And again, vehicles is a win condition when it comes to Warfare. That is part of the name of the game. If you got a tank on the map, you have a win condition on the map. And how do you play with your strong side, with your players, with your team? And how do you send your tank to the weak side to make it, well, frankly, not that weak? So it's been fun conversations back and forth, but even still, a nice big win from Team Alpha to put them 3-0 on the day. What a great last map. It's good to see cracked again on main stage, Tiff. I really do like this map. Only 3 sectors to conquer, and Team Alpha was able to conquer them.
They really were. And now we're starting to think about what we saw in Europe Warfare is Team Bravo all day on the maps. And now it's Team Alpha up 3. Do we see Team Bravo just carve out a cracked map win when we come back, Guj? I'm not even sure at this point because I'm already looking at the other objectives. Those side objectives, they got to come out on top.
Well, main objective complete for Team Alpha. Our side objectives, though, still up for grabs. So one more map to be played. We're going to be swapping sides going into Cracked. We're going to head to a short break. But when we come back, you're going to see Team Bravo. One more chance to get their names on the board. One more chance to grab a win. Don't go anywhere.
We're too late. Skynet has been destroyed.
No. Skynet's been upgraded.
Zoya, what's going on?
Alexei! Come on, anyone, do you copy?
Nox, confirm your position. The deal is clear. I'll help you remove your relink and escape Havoc. But first, you infiltrate the Skynet terminal and restore our comms. Respond immediately.
I'm in position. All clear.
Find the terminal. Arrival.
Welcome home. Nox. While unsuccessful, Admiral's rebuild has been astonishing. You are truly one of a kind. Don't resist. Embrace.
Get out of my head!
Find him! Go!
Let's spread a little panic.
We've got you surrounded! Enemy over here!
What's your status? Have you found the terminal?
We've been set up. The server room's empty.
I was right. You're still the best. I knew you'd come back. But here's the truth. It's not Havoc that needs you. It's you that needs Havoc. We are the future.
Welcome back to the Delta Force Global League Season 1 NA Warfare Finals, and we have had a blast in the booth all day today. We've had a great EU competition earlier today, and now into NA, we've seen 3 amazing maps, but it has been Team Alpha on top in North America by a sizable margin, Tiff. We have 1 more map to go, and the way things work around here is that Team Alpha's already won, but we got some more objectives to work for, so let's take a look at those scores from Game 3. Not as long of a match as are some of our others on trench lines, so not as crazy of a score line, but even still some nice kills. And good grief, 3 NYXE members in the top 4 on the side of Team Alpha. That is crazy.
I mean, look, at this point, we know who's going for most Slayer. We know exactly what that's looking like, and it's gonna be potentially a member from NYXE, but then I'm keeping my eyes on Bear +1's roster in particular for maybe top medic. So tough to see which one that's gonna go through, because I have to think about all the mental math, because this is literally just Game 3's scoreboard. But I do want to give some kudos over to Team Bravo, right? Gulag Company, Mirudos, Sarados, they've been finding a lot of success. Even Hollow's in there with 47 kills.
Yeah, no, it's a really good shout. There's a lot of value you can find across this leaderboard of trying to figure out the math of who's doing the most rescuing, who's doing the most kills. Well, we can tell from a squad standpoint that it's not even close. NYXE, after 3 games as a squad, at 852 kills. That's ridiculous. Wow. That is a stupid amount, and they've already had a massive score line to boot as well. 369,958 in total after 3. So very well done from this trio, or rather this squad of 4 players. And let's take a look at our Team Bravo teams. Yes, they may be losing across the board, but still some really nice score lines. A couple teams now broken over 300,000 score line, which is really impressive. Gulag Company, namely at the top, with Mirudos, Sarados right underneath it at 727 total kills. And what's interesting too, I think as you look at the 3rd squad there with Yabba Dabba, only 388 kills, but still a sizable score line. And this continues to show you how you play Warfare. It doesn't have to be dictated by you flying around the map getting as many kills as possible, or even being the vehicle aficionado that some of these players are. It can come down to you playing for score, playing for your team, playing support, and still finding a lot of value there.
It really is, but you're kind of starting to see potentials for that MVP squad, but we're still looking for top Slayer, top medic, but we go into our final match of the day. So nothing is set in stone in terms of our side objectives just yet. You have 1 more map to make a play for it. Now, if you remember what we saw over in Europe couple hours ago, Goj, how many stingers did we see on the very last map where people were just roaming looking for as many rescues as possible?
Yeah, no, exactly. Again, if we can, before we get into this map, we are playing for side objectives only at this point. The main objective has been secured by Team Alpha. They have won $4,000, I believe, for winning this in 3. But into the 4th, we still have around $1,000 still up for grabs, a little over it, actually. 500, 300, 300. Very quickly going to take a look at this overall. This is what we're looking for. MVP squad. Sure, NYXE is at the top right now. They could have a flub of a game. It is possible. Somebody could catch them, so keep an eye out for that. That's going to be a squad scoring. But then most kills, most rescues, that's individual. And that doesn't necessarily need to come from a team that's done well. So a lot on the line still for these teams. Let's hop into our final map of the day. And of course, we have swapped sides. So Team Alpha over on the defense.
Ooh, I mean, this should be quite interesting. I'm trying to think how the trench lines went for them, and they excelled on the defense. But there were some moments where I was like, okay, I really want to see what the team that has been able to find a ton of frags, regardless, from Team Bravo, maybe they turn it around. Maybe they just take one just for the fun of it.
Yeah, definitely a good shout. But anyways, I'd be curious about, of course, Matt Freys here in InmortalS. They've had a pretty good day today as well. I think they were 3rd overall on their squad leaderboard, but it had a ton of value for that team. And that's one of the things we always keep talking about when it comes to teams like InmortalS, is they're slotting in on a roll. It's, hey, let's take the tank. Let's make sure we're playing together as a squad. And it's worked out really well for them. So I'm impressed with this team's ability to think on their feet and also just keep their tank alive. It is a skill. I know it feels like the tanks are really strong. They are, but you got to keep them alive. And InmortalS has done a really good job of doing that.
Ooh, all right. Maybe some long range here to open things up, especially from Zveri 09. The AWM so powerful when it comes to this. Barely misses, probably whizzed by that player's face. So no worries, finding some members of Bear Plus One out in the open.
One of these will connect, I swear.
I'm here to wait.
This is my strategy, by the way. I am a sniper through and through. AWM in the hands. This is Zveri 09. Trying to pick up a couple picks. And I think, again, everybody's trying to have a good time in this last map. Sure, if you're close for some of these individual rewards, some of these side objectives, you've got to go for them. But if you're just having a great time and you've won or lost already, might as well go for some clips. I mean, hey, it's esports. There's still a lot of content to be farmed as well. But for the rest of you, trying to earn up to over $1,000 in the rest of these side objectives, big job ahead of you. But a quick secure for the attacking team of point A means how quickly can we take down Siren in NYXE's tank over here on the Alpha defending side this time around? And I think the answer is not very quickly.
You know what it's like. That's exactly what they did when they were on the defensive side of... Oh my... Okay. Yeah. We showed up for a half a second there.
A brutal spot to be in, but continue to swing perspectives here. There's NYXE on your screen yet again. Making quick work of some of their attackers that are swinging up into an open position here. Again, kind of the metric of success pushing onto B1, B2 is can you get across the open spaces and into cover, get a respawn beacon into the covered positions rather than out in the open spaces. Otherwise, you're just going to get farmed.
Well, getting some good sidelines. We try to make a play behind two, but we're forced to hit a reload. Sometimes these SMGs from different distance are so tough to deal with, you know? But it's nice for those up range, but you see the rescue coming straight on in right after we picked off one. Have no fear, though. I have faith.
I believe in the heart of the cards here, Tiff. The cards are saying that Alpha's going to win, so let's have some fun. Keep each other up, go for some rescues, and go for some kills.
Woo-hoo. Little chow. Little high-to-low ground action. We love a good stinger to be able to hit that pistol straight on in and get back to fighting form.
Jeez.
Through the smokes, and we're just leveling here.
Yeah, here's the problem, right? Is what I just mentioned a second ago. If you can't get out of your spawn, out of this open ground into cover and get a nice respawn beacon going, you're going to be in trouble. And the only way to do that is A, respawn beacon, sure, or B, threaten one of these points so that the defense can actually have to kind of go respond to that rather than try to farm you in your own respawn. And all of these players know the spawns very, very well and how to play around them. Exactly what we're seeing right now. Out into the open air we go, and out chowing everybody we can get our hands on. NYXE on a killing spree. So we're going to swap over to a new team as finally it looks like our attack has found a nice threatening position. Looking at B1. And Jolf not able to replicate the success he found in trench lines, but even still going to keep using Saniva.
You know, it's respectable, right? We're just having a good time here. Live on main. Sometimes you just gotta push everything to the limits. At this point, I think he knows what he's doing and still going for it regardless. But get a good look at B1. The majority of the people are focusing on that at first. A couple kind of trying to soft launch B2. But I love what I'm seeing from Bear Plus One to really hold steady for the defense on that other side.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think I don't want to get too into the weeds and some of the nuanced math that's going on, but if you're a team like NYXE, you've kind of got two sides of the same coin. You can either just go out and have an absolute banger of another map and just gap the competition and extend this as long as you'd like. You extend it a very long time to make sure you gap your competition because you know you're going to slay. But truthfully, they're up so far ahead of the other squads, they'd actually like this map to end as fast as possible, so there's not room for anybody else to catch them on our side quest leaderboard for those side objectives, looking at that MVP squad in particular that they're likely the front runner for. So I don't know if they're even thinking about that, if they're just trying to have a dang good time playing Warfare, but either way, some fun nuance to the way this one could work out. If the game is short, there's less stats to pad. So if you're in the lead, you want this thing to be quick. And if you're not in the lead, you want to extend this out as long as humanly possible.
I mean, you're not wrong on that. Is that really what could potentially be happening as we sit here on board with Zveri 09, Team Bravo? Saw a lot of players looking to get towards the high ground, and more often than not, this is exactly what happened. You start to put that pressure on now, and then you get taken down.
We're still trading blows here on B2, so it looks like at least our attackers are definitely trying to grab a win. Again, Team Bravo, they are on attack right now, trying to get their very first win of the day by capturing all the points in Cracked. A tall task, to be frank, but a task that was just completed by their opponents. And we swing over to NYXE. Where are they? Yeah, they're in the tank. Siren said, nobody needs this cover, right? I don't think anybody needs this concrete. We're just gonna run through it. Everything's good.
Yeah, definitely. FourFun Esports, you can see here, keeping tabs on B2, looking to claim it back for the defense. You got Lobot right there in the middle alongside Gallard. Neo's across the way.
Nice retake of both objectives, Tiff. I mean, they got B2 and B1 going their way currently. B1 finally starting to fall to the attackers. So the classic exchanging of blows, the classic exchanging of hands. And, well, what a classic view in Warfare. Someone up on high from, I believe, Gulag Company, picking off people from distance, trying to open up a small little window of opportunity for the rest of their team by just thinning the herd, as it were.
I'm all right with it. I'll live here. Maybe we get some nasty clips for the timeline. Doing it in the Delta Force Global League for NA Warfare Season 1.
That would
Maybe
be
hit a
me.
little trick shot.
I've been saying it since the beginning. That would be me up on a hill with a sniper. I would be so not valuable for my team. But it would look good, you know? And it would feel good when I get 5 kills or whatever it is with a sniper. I'm an M700 guy, but AWM very strong as well. M700 oftentimes used in operations. We'll see a lot of that tomorrow, I'm sure. But a retake here from NYXE on to B1. Exchanging of points yet again. These teams want to win. That's why they are competitors. That's why either brand new or otherwise esports competitors, they're not going to give a map for the sake of it being fast. They want to win every single map they can get their hands on.
Well, here we go. NYXE. Still on the defense. Still trying to hold it down. Back to the sniping. Back to the pressure. Back to the fun.
Can I get a kill? On main. See ya. Oh, not quite a headshot. Close, though. Gonna decide to get involved, though. I can appreciate it. I respect the clips. Again, if you're not going for some of these side quests, some of these side objectives, I mean, might as well get some clips for the timeline. I sniped X player in a Warfare esports competition. Boom. Post tweet.
You're creating the hooks already. I love it.
I'm just having a blast. These map 4s that like don't affect the main objective are actually so fun to watch because you can tell that some of these players, yeah, I mean, they're playing for the win, absolutely. But some of these players are going for clips. Some of these players are going for specific objectives. Some of these players running around. You're totally right. There's more stingers across the board for anybody going for it. But this is the squad that's going for MVP squad. They need score. One of the easiest ways to get a ton of score for your team is by getting kills on an objective point. You get so much more value for your kills, so much more bang for your buck if you're actually fighting on the point. So you're going to see NYXE on the point most of the time to try to juice up their scores.
Well, to be fair, I mean, look, if you're going to be locking it on the defense, you should just stay there on the point in general and clean out the attacking side of things. For Bear, I think we are just going to see a string of clips as Seneva just lurking with the blast shield out. And at this point, I'm okay with it. He's even got the razor wire trap set out just on this side so we can kind of filter people through so we can beat them down after.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Quick look at the overhead view, though, as where are the rest of our attackers? They are swarming to B2, tread desperately to cling to what could be the single map that they get a win on, but they have to start moving pretty quickly. Down below 160, it looks, lives in total now as they try to push for B2. They're losing B1 in transition, so if you're the attackers, you've got to capture B2 to have some semblance of a foothold on this map and try to restabilize with your team and then re-push to the new. One of the things I'm not seeing from the attack until just now, a tank getting into the mix. You can see it off into the distance for our attacking team right behind, trying to stay out of harm's way while still helping the team.
Well, you just remember what this did for when Team Alpha was on the attacking side in game number 3, right? It was kind of Immortals that was allowing themselves to play around B1 and just keep that pressure onto it, then focusing on our infantry on the ground to be able to get B2 while he maintained B1.
Such a beautiful shot. Shout out to our observer team and obviously the in-game spectator. This is sick. You can see our defensive tank was able to take out the attacker's tank, which is truly their only leverage on the map. So that is a brutal way to go out. The attackers are going to try to find a foothold that's not a vehicle, is what it looks like, as the defense continues to try to go for these rescues because, well, they're trying to get that top medic spot for 300 bucks. And I think Labat was up there in the category of one of the players that could do that. And it looks like all of Bear is going to go for that.
You know what? We're still here. Shoes locked in on Luna, locked in on the sniping, looking at people just running across the way.
Again, this is the Warfare everyman. You know how many people hop into Warfare and just say, I want to go for sniper clips. I am the glint machine. Yeah, you're Shoosh now. This is you.
Everyone just diving to the ground. You hear the shots just like whizzing by. I feel like we always have to check in with Shoes now because of that in particular. But back to Bear +1. Back to checking out the defense here.
Gulag last alive for Bear +1 and barely at that. And it looks like the attack is actually somehow able to push up and potentially take both of these, or at the very least trade again. There was a moment there where they had over 50% on both, but the trade is coming through. So they're going to take back B1, and the defense is going to take back B2 on the back of Bear +1.
They're going to change a game plan and maybe get a little bit closer and go recap if they can. A little Kano on your screen, and honestly, maybe that's what Gulag Company is just doing. They're having some fun here, sniping from that distance, just keeping the overlook onto this sector.
I mean, hey, information is power. I respect it. Getting to see the two sides of the coin is how do we get really active and get into the mix and fight from inside these buildings. A perfect dichotomy of Warfare styles, and something that we talk about anytime we're doing Warfare show matches too. It's like there's just so many different ways you can play Warfare and have a good time doing it and also find success doing it. And sure, sniping is one of those, vehicle warfare is one of those, getting into the trenches with an S12 one of those, SMG 45 swinging around alleyways on people. I mean, I'm here for it.
All right, getting here on board with UTP from Team Alpha. Some time on this as we kind of filter back on in. Ooh, head away back to the free cam here. Overlook at B2. Look who it is. I see someone from Immortals there, locking it in to the tank, trying to put the pressure onto B2 to hold down for the defense.
Yeah, Matt Freeze is a vehicle aficionado. You got to give him the wheelman badge. I mean, get involved. Give this guy the shield badge. It has been a lot of the same, and frankly, as per the usual, the classic saying holds true. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Matt Freeze in a tank, and Bear Joel beating people down with a shield. I don't think that's an individual reward, but even still, it's fun to watch on broadcast for both of them. I'm sure Matt Freeze is probably in the conversation from InmortalS in the kind of top Slayer category. I don't know if he's going to overcome some of those from NYXE, but I think he'll probably be on that list, or at least close to it, the amount of value he's been getting out of the vehicles.
Definitely would be fun to see, but granted, this is the last map of the day. We'll totally get to see it after this once the scores are all tallied, and Bunny Quid was one of those people that was in the running for top medic, and we immediately pop on board. We see a rescue coming on through. Only a matter of time before we see that. See, about stingers, right? That support operator.
Yeah.
You can rescue everyone from your 20 squad. It doesn't have to be from your individual squad of 4.
Wait, Bunny Quid is making bank right now. Not only the score tallies, but these rescues. There is a chance they're going to make real cash because the amount of rescues they're able to get. Literally running around, therapeutic pistol in hand, rescue after rescue after rescue. Sometimes you got to shoot back, able to do that too. Bunny Quid can do it all and is back on this point, trying to make a difference, and is doing a great job at that.
No! Gotta hype him up. As soon as we stop hyping him up, next thing you know, they're down and out, waiting to be respawned back on in, but still here, UTP on the defense. Not gonna let this courtyard go.
Clean sweep pending.
We have to recapture
The
it.
lurking behemoth of Team Alpha was too much to deal with. It looks like 44 lives remaining for the attackers. Team Bravo yet to get a win today. It's not looking like they're going to get a win now. Things could change in the next 2.5 minutes, but somebody already has found a guided missile and are going to find quite a bit of value. Oh my goodness, Siren. It just kept going. That looked like a freaking pharmacy receipt. Good grief. I mean, that was, I think, 9 maybe from Siren. That was disgusting.
I thought you were going to say like an infomercial, but wait, there's more. But honestly, if you're going to bring that in, NYXE, on the defense and connect for that much, you just ate so many tickets of the attacking side of things, and they're down to 20.
Yeah, that was impressive. I mean, look, it's funny because guided missiles were like, well, is it impressive he just dropped a nuke on the map? It's like, well, you got to pick the right spot, and also just getting one is impressive. The first one we've seen uncracked this early in B points right now, might I add. So obviously it dwindled down the numbers dramatically of the attackers down to a total of 10 and counting. This is just feels like the pending countdown of the death of Team Bravo. And frankly, Tiff, I think that's exactly what it is. Just a matter of time. Let's get a couple more kills to add to our tally. Let's try to go for top Slayer. Simon, I don't know for sure you're going to be there, but you're going to be in the conversation, no question.
I just love how he's just like, we're going to lock it on D-Wolf. We'll go back to kind of one of the OG operators from launch. We've got our syringes. We can use the triple blaster. If I get a couple damage markers out onto a player, my triple blaster can jump across the way and typically finish them off. But of course, Store Skins had to answer back from the chaos that NYXE brought on over to Team Bravo.
Yeah, hey, you know what? We're into overtime because of Store Skins. I'm here for it, man. Like, the final hour, you are not going down without a fight. And there is a chance here that the attackers in overtime could push us into point C and have a few lives to work with. They're going to get some back, and I think that might be exactly what's about to happen. Store Skins, well done. And oh no, they just barely lost B1 in time. Oh man, that was so close to be able to push us into point C. If one of these points gets retaken by the defense, that's going to be all she wrote. And I believe there's a timer as well that we can't see. I want to say it's like about 1.5 minutes. They have to complete both of these objectives and move on to point C. But Store Skins, well done. You've elongated our last map of the day, allowing for the final couple rescues and the final couple kills to come in if they can't grab both of these captures here, Tiff.
Oh, Wag here on Viren said, all right, cool, I'm heading straight towards B1. Magnetic bombs to vehicles, but they're doing what they can. You can see from the free cam here that the defense is starting to carve back.
Oh, no. Look at B2. The entire force of the attackers that just spawned back in are making a late game push at it. This should seal the deal here shortly. Once the defense is able to recapture these points, that is all she wrote for Team Bravo. Strategic beacons definitely going to help out getting people onto the map. Oh, it was so close for Store Skins. So good to see a really strong late game push for Team Bravo. Never going down without a fight, but that will do it. Oh, wait a minute. A little bit too early to call. P2 exchanging back. We're still in overtime, Tiff. I thought it was over.
We're trying. I saw guided missiles getting called on in. Let's see if it's gonna work out and maybe put this one to bed. But it's Brendan from Yabba Dabba Doo calling it in straight onto B2.
Time ran out just a little early on the call, but a great effort. And I gotta tip my hat to Team Bravo. Yes, you got swept today, but you really did put up a great fight. We saw some really critical moments from you guys throughout the course of the entirety of today's broadcast, especially when I'm thinking about even just the first map of the day. It was such a close map. But even still, just a very tough day in the office for Team Bravo. Team Alpha, your champions. Team Alpha with the clean sweep. Team Alpha on top. And likely a lot of Team Alpha squads going to be on top of some of our individual leaderboards here, Tiff.
They really are. And honestly, we start looking at those side objectives that we were talking about. It's like we're looking for an MVP squad. We're looking for a top medic. We're looking for a top slayer. And of course, MVP squad can only come from the winning team. So it will be someone from Team Alpha.
Yeah, I'm pumped to see where all of this money is going to be going. We know where a majority of it's going to be going, of course, to Team Alpha. That's $4,000 going to Team Alpha. But a fun last map and a fun map of watching players have a good time on the map, frankly. We saw some sniping from some of our players. We saw some more vehicle warfare. But at the end of the day, we saw a lot of the same results. So let's take a look back on that map and see what Team Alpha was able to do is to not only secure it, but also take a look at some of our individuals that were going for those medals. Again, a lot of rescues and a lot of stingers on that last map.
I know we opened it up right here, starting with B1, B2, and it's the we get to see InmortalS and kind of outside of the vehicle and what that gameplay looks like before they throw map freeze behind the wheel. The turret's going crazy, all of the above, and well, a lot of that. And then more sniping. Sometimes you just gotta have a moment to just catch your breath, take a breather, jump on board with Gulag Company and see what they do with the AWM.
I mean, he was able to hit some shots. I'm a big fan of the AWM as well, but NYXE, really the storyline today is how dominant they were across the board, even between both teams. They're going to be one of the top squads today, no question, and it was namely just because they could fly and fry. But again, InmortalS did a great job in vehicles, but on the land, they could do it all too. And again, a look here at what was a fruitful, last couple pushes into B1 and B2 for the side of the attacking. But just not quite enough to be able to capture both and force it into point C. But a fun day regardless, and a fun day of watching BearJolf just beat people up with a shield. I mean, it almost doesn't get better than that. I think the only thing that maybe tops it is Sirens. I think that might have been 10. I got to go back and count that. Maybe the biggest guided missile of the day. And then this one here from Storskins to answer back opened up the opportunity to push us in to overtime just for the sake of it being the last map. And we wanted to see more Warfare Chaos, Tiff.
We really did. I was like, all right, cool. Let him get it. Let him get it captured. Bring us on over to C, but it's totally fine. Of course, cracked. It was so eventful. I loved it, but nothing is going to beat the trading of the guided missiles in map number 1 on trench lines.
And I think as I'm thinking back on this and we're calculating some of the scores, we've got a lot still to calculate. We know Alpha are our champions, but the rest is coming down to math. And so I think back to some of my favorite parts of the day. And of course, I'm brought back to trench lines where it really was very close. I think, it's now a couple hours later. So you might think, wow, man, Alpha was so strong. Think back though to map 1, Alpha on the attack, Bravo on the defense, and Bravo did a really good job after a frustrating start of that map to hold over 300 lives against Team Alpha on point E alone. It was really a monumental effort from the defense to be able to hold on, and it just was a little too late at the end of it. It was just too many lives to handle, and with 32 lives, Team Alpha took the win and really set the tone for the entirety of the day that they were eventually, frankly, inevitable, Tiff. And everything since then has been pretty utter domination from Team Alpha, but that first one in particular was really one of my favorite moments I've even seen in general in Warfare. It was such a nail-biter.
It really was, and I just love that we started to see kind of the adaptation come through that a lot of our squads were talking about ahead of today's NA Warfare finals, right? So like we knew what we were expecting to see in terms of just adapting on the operator selection side in their initial squads of 4. Did it come through? 100%. But where we really started to see it manifest was when they swapped sides and threw Team Alpha on the defense on trench lines game number 2. That's where we had Shepherds, we had Allurus, we even had Senevas. That's where we start seeing BearJolf get crazy in the bunkers themselves. And I think that just really set the precedent for the rest of the momentum of our day.
No, I think it's a really good shout, and it was fun to listen in to some of the comms of some of the players before the show started, watch the Discord, see what they had learned from Europe like you were talking about, and also noticing, again, I was looking at these Discord chats, and I think yet again, I want to say that the team that strategized the most in Discord was actually the team that struggled the most. It was Bravo that was asking a lot of questions about operator choices and things like that, and Bravo got dumpstered, unfortunately, in our NA Warfare finals. And then the same was true during Europe, and it was the opposite teams, but the same being true. So maybe the strategy is don't talk about it, just play your game. I don't know, but even still, a fun day of Warfare from EU to NA. We We've been live pretty much all day with a break in the middle, and it's been clean sweeps both days, but still great competition, Tiff. And excited to see this final leaderboard and see where the teams land and some of these individuals land in particular. I see some of our players in chat as well. Labat was in chat saying that he thinks he's going to be one of the top medics on the game, and I think you're probably in the top 5. I don't know if you're going to be the top, but a great job from Bear Plus One and all of our organizations, whether official or unofficial. Some of you created your own names right before this broadcast, but that's the nature of Delta Force Esports, Tiff. We are just getting started. This is season 1, so some of these players are not signed to organizations. Some are, though. And either way you cook it, it's great to see some esports come to Delta Force as we continue to tweak and refine it and create something really special, in my opinion.
It really is, and I love that we're getting to highlight Warfare all day today because it's not done, right? We have more action that is coming as soon as we jump on over tomorrow, but we still have to finish things out for today. And overall, I had a lot of fun. I loved seeing the differences between Europe Warfare and NA Warfare, and the majority of people really loving to stick to some of the OG assault operators, but a ton of stingers in NA, and most of them were using them as a highly aggressive, self-healing, chaotic machine. And that is what I love to see, some battle medics.
Yeah, no, I really like that call out. I think that's something oftentimes when you think of support operators, you're thinking about playing a support role like maybe Labat was, where you're getting a ton of rescues across the map. But you're right, it's also insanely valuable because you can therapeutic gun yourself to keep yourself alive. And sometimes people just consider that in operations because you take in less meds into the map. But in Warfare, it's so valuable to start your health regen nearly immediately when you're encountering 1v2s, 1v3s. If you can break line of sight, isolate your ones, it's kind of traditional FPS style of just staying alive so that you can win all of your gunfights. So our top team certainly was able to make use of that. And yeah, you're right. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, vehicles being a win condition today was the deciding factor in a lot of these fights. How do you play around your vehicle? How do you keep your vehicle alive? When you get aggressive with the vehicle? When you play super support, just shelling the fight from distance? It was pretty cool, and I'm excited to talk to some of our winning teams. I believe we got an interview that's coming down the line as well, so stay tuned for that, as we have several players waiting in the wings to figure out who we're going to be able to interview. I'm excited to see, but still some math being done, Tiff. And what I want to ask you, I think, now that we've seen 2 different competitions of Warfare, not even favorite moment, I think now that you've seen the highest level of Warfare, wait a minute, hold on, we got scores, Tiff. Forget that for now. We'll talk about it at the end of the show. Let's break it down first. Tiff, walk me through this leaderboard. Game 4 is here, and crazy numbers again from NYXE, but some new faces near the top.
There really is. I mean, you got 2 from NYXE right there, and then obviously InmortalS kind of really starting to claw into that top 5, but it's just Siren there with 72. Not only that, but we've got 29 rescues on board for that, but a couple Matt Freeze outside of the building doing work roaming, putting up 29 and 39 rescues, which is really nice for that. We did see Bear Jolf momentarily still trying to play around with the Saniva and the Blast Shield, puts up a nice 20 as well. But then you go over to Team Bravo, who almost was able to get towards the sectors of C, right? Hallows in from Mirudos, Sarados, 57, Storskin 61. I mean, just 2 members of that individual squad putting up a ton of kills.
Yeah, and of course, with this final win, Team Alpha cemented themselves as clean sweeping Team Bravo and are going to be your champions today. So big congratulations to Team Alpha and everybody a part of that Team Alpha side. Big congrats, because you've won $4,000 as a team, and you did it in style. Very, very well done for our champions. And taking a look at that game 4 was really cool. But I am interested in the overall. How did our squads fare? Where did they all line up? As expected, Team Alpha on top with a massive value of 4-0. But look at NYXE at 1,025 kills between the squad, between 4 games. That is an unreal stat line, Tiff.
That is insane. And now I'm starting to think, what happens if we would have taken our Team Alpha from NA Warfare and put them up against Team Bravo from EU?
Yeah.
Like, what does that look like? We're talking Global League, but hey, no, I'm just spitting ideas over here. Regardless, Team Bravo putting up some massive numbers, almost hitting 1K for Mirudos Sarados, but NYXE at the end breaches 1,000 and just looked so dominant doing it.
Yeah, unreal stat lines across the board. Obviously, kill total is insane, but also the score line was massive from the side of NYXE as well. So excited about that squad and how much efficiency they found on the map against some really high-level players. Now, I will say, I think we've got an interview with Snarf, one of our top players from NYXE. Let's bring him into the booth. Snarf, absolutely dominant performance today. My question to you is not how you're feeling. I know how you're feeling. You're feeling great. Were you expecting to be the top team today by a sizable margin?
I think yes. Not really, because I couldn't expect like how it was going to be with the other teams, because I played one tournament before and we didn't have these teams before. We have like more American teams, but it was pretty insane. This game in high level, it's another thing to play. I can't wait. We having like the dedicated servers so we can play against each other in high level with clans and tournaments like Battlefield, because I came from another games and like tournaments, and I can't wait. It's insane. This game in high level, yeah. I got pretty fun playing.
That's all that matters. I love that. Having fun, getting started on the ground level. I love that you came in with no expectations, but what was your preparation like coming into this, especially since you really weren't able to get those scrims in the custom lobbies and such?
Yeah, like we have to think what we can expect from another players, because in high level, we can't stay too much in the open. We have to loot to use a lot of smokes. And switch against operators and know how to use the vehicles. So the skill gap in the game, it's insane, because you need to know everything. Like you can't play with only one character. You have to know everything. Like sometimes you need to use the beacon. Sometimes you need to res. It's a lot of things that you need to know. And in high level, like it's the beginning of the game, and I believe this game have a pretty interesting esports scenario that we can search for it, and we have to see in the future.
Yeah. No, I think it's a really good shot. I mean, I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, I've been here since the very beginning as well. The esports kind of just now taking off. A lot of competitions. Every competition I've seen you all in, though, you've been dominant. So obviously you're at the right place at the right time, and you figured it out. My question to you is really, where did this team come together? Where did you guys find each other? How long have you been together? How do you know each other?
Like Wagner was with me like in the past in esports. We play a lot in the past. And Siren is one of the best vehicles I've seen in the game. He's a beast. With the tank, with the little tank, with the chopper. If we give him like a quadricycle, he can hit and run everyone in the game and win. And Rasta is one of the best SMG players in the game, so we have a lot of synergy together. The first time we played together, we say to each other that we are going to do something good in this tournament. I believe a lot in this team.
I think that's absolutely massive. Just saying that you believe in each other, you have this energy, all of the keys to success. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to kind of turn the table and just get your overall thoughts on Season 4 Eclipse Vigil. It just launched a couple of days ago. We saw y'all in the Creator Showdown. What are your thoughts so far on all of that new season stuff?
I like it a lot. I like the new operator. I didn't play a lot with him because I think he's more for operations. Warfare, I think he's not a good use to it. I need to know more about it, but that's the thing about Delta Force, because there's a lot of new content coming and we need to like learn the game again, because the meta changes, more guns commented, and a lot of guns you can use like all the guns in the game. Like we don't have like 2 or 3 metas. We have like 10 or 15 guns that we can play it, and this is insane. I love this game about you can create the guns. I love to do meta videos about the guns. I created like the CI-19, the SR3M that I use a lot in this tournament, and it's insane. I know I'm pretty confident that this game in the future can prosper a lot in tournaments and esports.
Yeah, look, I'm right there with you. I totally agree. It's one of my favorite parts is that the meta isn't fully shut down to just one weapon or one type of playstyle. You guys found that even on the map. Well, Snarf, you are an absolute pleasure to have in the booth, a walking encyclopedia of how to succeed as well. And so I want to give you the floor to kind of close this thing out here and tell people where they can find you if you do stream and create content like you're talking about, creating weapons. Maybe they were going to probably ask you for your weapon code so they can copy your weapons. Tell people where they can find you, your team, and what your hopes are for the future.
So Snarfax with 4, we not. It's like Thundercats, you know, Snarf on Thundercats with the 4 with no the 8. Search me on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, everything. It's the same name. I'm live right now and representing South America with my teammates, and I'm pretty anxious to see what we can see in the future. I hope there is like LAN events, and something like that. I think we can do this in the future.
Yeah, well, I appreciate, man. I'm really excited about what you guys are able to do into the future with more Delta Force esports, and very well done today. Thanks for hopping into the booth with us.
Thank you, Gaj. Thank you, Spider.
All right,
nice to meet you.
Ya. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, well, NYXE, obviously a team to watch out for. They've got it figured out. And frankly, Tiff, they said pretty much the same things that Tilly did during EU. We kind of thought about what the other teams would do and how to counteract them. And it worked perfectly. He also did say that basically each of them in their respective fields, if you will, inside of Warfare, are the best in the biz, from best SMG to best vehicle driver. I mean, they got it all, and apparently that is correct. Let's take a look at that MVP squad. I think we know who we're going to see there, Tiff, based on the score lines we saw before. And talk to me more about this team.
Oh, let's get an MVP squad going straight over to NYXE, representing South America with a scoreline of 449,000. Can we just talk about that? Because Europe Warfare's top squad of the day was 380,000. And this team had already pretty much eclipsed it moving into game number 4. So it was incredibly powerful, but you also have to give the flowers over to Mirudos, Sarados, because they were literally from Team Bravo, who did not net themselves a game win throughout our 4 games on the day and still put up some substantial numbers.
Yeah, Mirudos Sarados is our top team from Team Bravo, even though they weren't able to grab a win, still able to get some massive score lines. And as expected, apparently the best vehicle driver in the game right now, Syrant from NYXE, your top slayer by a gigantic margin. Over 101 kills separate first and second in this category. Top vehicle driver, top operator, top wheelman, whatever you want to call him. He's the top of the leaderboard and our top slayer today by a massive margin. This is unbelievable. I'm going to be honest. Tyrant was unkillable today.
Yeah, best vehicle. I mean, look, but you got Snarf right there in third, NYXE in general. Not sure which member from NYXE it is there for the 4th place on the top slayer, but I do really enjoy the fact that we just have some savages. Storeskin was dropping guided missiles all day on trench lines on the earlier rounds, but let's go ahead and move on. Who was able to hit the rescues and what? That was so close.
That's actually insane. Holy cow. Labat, congratulations. You thought you were top medic in the chat, and you were right. Just by 3 rescues over Bunny Quid. Insane to see it that close. And only 5 over Napon. And Napon's was on Team Bravo as well. The top medic on Team Bravo by a giant margin there with 157. Only 5 rescues away. It's so crazy to think that that $300 prize that's going to Labat was differentiated by 3 total rescues between our top 2 and 5 between our top 3. Crazy close this time in top medic. And here's a look at the final pricing overall. Again, just to reiterate, Team Alpha was your winning team by a sizable margin. They obviously went 4-0. Clean sweep, $4,000 going to everybody on that team. And then MVP squad NYXE crushed it today. Nobody was even close. $500 to that team. And then from NYXE, Syrant winning an individual $300 for being our only player to get over 300 kills and have a crazy gap between first and second. And then finally, just by the hair of their chin, Bear Labat. do grab some money to add to their pot after a win today and $300 to Bear Labat for getting the most rescues and being our top medic. Very, very cool stuff. Money exchanging hands. A great day in the office. And Tiff, I am very impressed with all that we've seen today. And my favorite, I think, part of the day was both of our interviews, getting a chance to kind of listen in behind the scenes. And both of these players recognized that they were on ground zero, the very beginning of what Delta Force Esports could be. So I want to posit that question that I was going to ask you before our leaderboard. For your final thoughts, I would love to hear kind of what we learned throughout the course of the broadcast and what you're taking away from watching the very first Season 1 North America and EU Warfare Finals.
I think we learned that adaptability is key, and kind of trying to work as a synergy, not only with your individual squad, but when you kind of have to work with a multitude of other people that you may not know more than like 2 days prior to this tournament. So I'm going to echo the sentiments of the interviews that we had heard from Tilia over in Europe and then from Snarf here in NA, is that we literally have so much high hopes for the future of the Delta Force Global League. And you can just hear how excited they are about the community, about creating content, about checking out all of the new things that are coming from Delta Force, whether it's the new weapons, the new operator NYXE, even talking about that, hey, I think NYXE is going to be so mission critical on the operation side of things. Well, guess what, guys? Job's not done. Today was all warfare all day, but we do see more operations tomorrow. And will people look to be a bit of a silent assassin? I can only hope.
Yeah, a lot more tomorrow, Tiff. It has been a pleasure doing all of this with you all today, from EU to NA and everything in between. You crushed it as per the usual. Thanks for joining me in the booth. All right, folks at home. Wow, what a day of Delta Force. I gotta say, we've seen people from all over the globe come together for the Delta Force Global League, adequately named here in Season 1. It's been warfare all day today, but Tiff leaked it. Yeah, operations tomorrow. Delta Force has everything under the sun, and it's got totally 2 different game modes that we get a chance to see esports in both of them. So if you want to check out any of these game modes, probably warfare after today, go download the game right now. You can head down to the link right below me. You can go to the official PC launcher on the website, or go to Steam, Epic Game Store, and of course, I've got to remind you that Delta Force is available on mobile with cross progression. You can level up your account, you can level up your weapons, you can get new attachments just from the comfort of maybe your couch, or maybe even better, how about we head over to the coffee shop and we're playing on our coffee break at work. I don't know where you're playing, but you can play it anywhere. And with cross progression, you can work on your account at the meantime. And you can do that with Warfare and Operation. So go check that out, iOS App Store and Android Google Play Store. And finally, I see you all yapping in the chat. I'm always watching the chat, and I see some players talking some trash talk in the chat, or maybe saying, man, I wish I would have known about this, or I could have played in this. Well, you can in the future, likely, if you pay attention to the socials. Drop a follow here on the live channel on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, X, Twitter, wherever you're at. Make sure you drop a follow. And follow Delta Force's brand new esports Twitter, where you can find an opportunity to maybe get involved or just keep up to date on all things Delta Force esports. That is going to be x.com/DF Game Esports. DF Game Esports. If you're already opened up on X, at DF Game Esports is where you need to head to go follow Delta Force Game Esports account, okay? There's a lot of cool information there. And of course, I'd be remiss to not tell you, join the Discord. It's worth it. You can stay up to date very easily and even select what pings you get, notifications. It's very easy to stay up to date on all things Delta Force. Folks, hey, I've had a great day today, and we've got a lot more Delta Force tomorrow. Same place, same time. We are live twice tomorrow. Operations in the morning. If you're a fan of the EU time zone, guess what? We've got a lot more coming for you with operations. And then in North America, again at night in Central time, if you will, 7 p.m. It's going to be 12 p.m. Central time, 10 a.m. PT is where you'll find that European operations competition. All right? Same time, same place. More operations, more Delta Force. It's going to be a good day tomorrow, and it was a great day today. But again, as a reminder, we couldn't do it without you, the viewer. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The only recon here, locking in with Luna, going on a massive rampage out here.
Buddy's decision making. Wag's here to slay out, frag out, and get a ton of kills.
Course of action, you still have the tanks on the outskirts, putting pressure from afar. I'm someone, I want to make sure that I get that destroyed, especially on the opposing team.
Yeah. stopping it, not on E, but on the outside, and that's exactly what happened.
Now, we'll go to the free cam, we'll see where it connects, and we'll see what. But right now is they've got FourFun Esports. I knew this was going to keep on happening. This is pretty much how I'm holding it down. Pablito with the angles up here from above.
Wow, to probably take out a tank. So something else to keep in mind, but a massive flank here, Finn.
So we want for Team Bravo on the attacking side of things, but you can see two top.
You gotta deal with this guy. Hey.
No, you don't deal with him. You don't even try. Jolt is like Sung Jin Woo than anything I've ever seen. Like, look at him. He's gonna find him. He's gonna go for it. He just keeps leveling up.
This is unbelievable. Bear Jolf, inevitable. Bear Jolf in 2. I don't even need 5. B1 under absolute terror from the attacks. Bear Jolf, will he? I think it's gonna be very difficult for them to get involved. And I think Bear. Oh, well, the attackers got 2. How about 7 from
those lives? 18 free cam. Just the pure standoff that we're getting. 4 players. We're gonna win that engagement. Apparently not, but this is what we're talking about. Magnetic bomb.
Got artillery strikes landing. We've also potentially got some guided job ahead of you, but a quick secure for the attacking team of point A means how.
Hit that pistol straight on in and get back to fighting form.
Beacon going, you're gonna be in trouble. And the only way to do that is A, respawn Beacon, the classic exchanging of blows, the classic exchanging of hands, and opportunity for the rest of their team, but just thinning. Some of these players are going for clips, some of these players are going for specific objectives. Donato, you gotta give him the wheelman badge. I mean, get involved. It has been a lot of the same, and frankly, as somebody already has found a guided missile and are gonna find.
My triple blaster can jump across the way and let's see if it's gonna work out and maybe put this one.